Hey, we got monster shirts on today.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, I would have had my Frankenstein shirt on today if I would have known.
I would have wore the Godzilla one had I known.
Ah.
I got Dragon Ball Z.
Dork.
I know.
Well, it's got the word dragon in it. That's close.
Yeah.
Oh, that Japanimation.
Ooh.
Oh my.
That's an 80s term, man.
I know. Well, it's funny too. So when I teach the manga classes, and the kids are all talking about like Attack on Titan, those other shit. I'm like, well, back in my day, we used to call it Japanimation, and then it became anime, or if you want to be technical, anime.
Oh, anime.
Anime. Yeah, if you're a straight up otaku, you better call it anime.
Anime or manga.
Yeah.
You can't say manga. You sound you sound too white if you say that.
Manga's for Jenga players. And we know how Jenga ends up into paces. I don't know where that came from. How's everyone doing? Everyone seems to be in good spirits. So.
I'm still breathing, man. It's good to talk to you guys, and that's where the good spirit's coming from here on this end.
Okay. Mine's coming from this glass.
There you go.
Oh, what you got? What you got there?
The usual, cheap bourbon and Coke Zero.
Okay.
Coke Zero. Good Lord, man.
Yeah, I don't. What's the zero part for? Like, is that what you have?
Yeah, it's because it's zero sugar and 0 calories. It's weird because like I can't handle like straight regular Coke that much anymore.
Yeah,
it's just like too much actual sugar. It's weird because like I can do like actual sugar cane,
like actual cocaine.
Yeah. Well. Oh, this is going off. This is already off the rails. So,
what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G Dorado, and this is a weekly podcast where I sit down with other artists and creators to share honest discussions and conversations about art and life. Pretty plain and simple. So, if you enjoy this content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button on any audio platform you're tuning in with. And if you're actually watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to upload more content on there on top of the Rated G podcast content. So, and make sure you hit that bell, ring that bell so you can keep up with all the new posts. And what else? Check out the show descriptions for each episode of the podcast in case you want to continue to follow not only myself, but my guests that I'm featuring on that episode. All right. And there we go. Woo! So joining me, coming back to the show, are two of New Jersey's finest talented artists. They are quite a hold on. They're quite a dynamic duo. I don't know. It's kind of hard to have them. Like, don't get me wrong. I love having them individually on one-on-one sessions, but I'm really starting to love these group sessions. So enough with sucking your balls. I'm gonna bring you guys in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Nick Mockoviak and Rickman.
Rickman, we both had the same thought going on with that whole introduction.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, well, what do we call this? We call this the bitch fest. This is where we bitch and we, complain and just rag on everything. So
and we say the same thing every single time. The only thing that changes is just the day on the calendar.
Exactly.
Everything else is the same. So
it's a good ends and why. So
yeah.
Oh well, I mean, it is a bitch fest, but there's gems in there.
We catch up. We catch up with each other too. Because honestly, obviously, to us at least, we see each other primarily on social media at this point. I haven't actually been to a show or a convention or anything in probably about a year at this point, So I don't see you guys. You, G, I wouldn't see anyway. You're so far away. And Nick, I would occasionally run into him at some of these shows. But, in the world today, the post-apocalyptic hellscape that we live in now, it's a little different. So,
yeah, actually, with social media, it is a beautiful thing. We can still keep in touch, to a certain degree, but it kind of just feels like, we're always like a step behind. But to be able to do this live, like really be in the moment with each other and just like really catch up, rather than just following the posts that that we put out there. So it's always a pleasure. I really hope we can do this like regularly, because the last time we did this, we're like, oh, maybe we can do this like, every month, maybe at the end of the month, every month. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's really cool to sit down with you guys and really catch up, because this is really a like, at least for me right now, it's like the true form of camaraderie I have right now. Because like all my friends, all my connections are majorly from Jersey. So yeah, and then when it comes to just being an artist and a creator, I don't have that strong, like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I can only really equate it to like stand-up comics. Like, there's like a strong bond with each comic, each artist. They jab at each other. We bitch about the events that we've done and the odd experiences that we may have come across. So there's like that cool, thing that we have. I'm searching for it here, and I'm trying to build that, but it's not that easy. So to be able to do that and carry what we have and just kind of I don't know, we kind of just build on it. It seems like we've been building on it now. And
sounds like you need to find yourself a whole new group of assholes.
Yeah, but it's tough, man, because like everyone's so nice here. You're in North Carolina.
What? No, I'm in
West Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
West Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
West Virginia, New Jersey. So I don't know where it is.
It's not. Well, it's not here.
Yeah, it's not here. So, but you're in an area where people are generally nice, and you don't come across a bunch of dickheads like you do here in New Jersey, which we're all a bunch of assholes. What are you gonna do?
I guess it's the way we display it. I don't know. It's like more bluntly, if that makes sense.
We don't hold anything back. There's no screen.
No.
It's even just the way they welcome you here, like at the register, it's just nice, wholesome. And it's just like, wait, why am I bothered right now?
Meanwhile here it's like, what the fuck do you want? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. Yeah. But yeah, man, I hope we can find find a time to maybe do this almost on a regular, if you guys are down.
I'm down.
Everyone's got a life, I understand.
World just keeps getting weirder and weirder, and it's difficult. I know what you're talking about. I've found an awesome community locally with my music these days too. I wind up doing I do this open mic every Thursday, and it's been something. And there is a topic that crossed my mind when I knew I was going to talk to you guys.
Okay.
And I don't know, if we're okay starting off on something, but it is related.
Yeah, absolutely.
To everything that, at least in in my life currently. We are all artists, and we all do something else too. Like, you're real into fitness and whatnot, and Nick's just crazy. I don't, but I know you guys are into other things too, and we come together in this area. I've been having a difficult time of it, connecting to my creative side. You guys probably follow me on Instagram at Rickman Art, if anyone's interested. And you probably occasionally see a drawing post that I do, or a clip from one of the open mics that I do, or whatever. I actually did the whole open mic thing for a reason. Recently, in the last, say, 6 to 8 months or so, I connected with one of the guys that normally goes to the open mic. And he and I are very much on the same level, musically and mentally to some degree as well. He's about 10 years younger than me, but we perform together. And I realized that I did this for a reason. I was finding it difficult to make myself go to the open mic on Thursday. I love it. I really do. The minute I walk in and then I get to go up there and perform, and I hang out with the people that are there, I love it. But in the solo moments up in the week prior to the night, I often second guess myself and think, I don't know. I don't even want to do this. I don't know why I bother doing this. And granted, I know that comes from a larger issue like depression and whatnot, but creating this, I guess, reason to be there. I perform with my friend Jason. So Jason comes over on a Monday night. We practice the songs that we're going to do on Thursday, and then I have to go on Thursday, because if I bow out, it's Jason won't perform either. So I've made it important, in quotes, to myself to be there, and a reason to be there. But I've found recently that I don't have the connection that I used to have to my creativity, to sit down to draw something, to do even write a song, even just pick up the guitar and play. Now, G, I just saw it today. I think you did your drawing of the new Batman, the sparkly Batman, apparently. That was a Twilight.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Nick, the last thing that you did was I think that beautiful painting of an artichoke. I think that was the last thing on your Instagram. You guys, you, especially you, G, you're pumping out work. You get something and you work on it and you put it up there, and you're always doing videos and even this podcast thing. I mean, hats off to you, because you are driving yourself through all of this. I've lost a bit of the connection, and I'm curious if you guys have any, if you guys can relate to that in some way.
Nick, do you want to take the lead on it first?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have. I go through, like, at least once a year, I will look at my art stuff and go, why the fuck do I have all this shit? Why do I have thousands of dollars of fucking brushes and paper and paint? And, I at least once a year, I'll have like that pity party of like, oh, woe is me. The like 16-year-old version of me would probably be profoundly disappointed in who I am. But fuck him. He's a stupid teenager, who lived in a different time, and, especially, with art, like that artichoke painting was actually painted last month. That was for the Garden State Watercolor Society,
right?
For one of their shows, but that was painted in the beginning of January. And honestly, I haven't really been doing a lot of art, and I totally relate to what you're talking about. Yes, I can use the excuse, well, yes, you're a father, you have a toddler, you work like an idiot. But it's not, though, because inherently, I'm behind on things that I promised people, drawings from a year ago. And that's like the specter that hangs over me, that I can't move on to other projects because I told people I will draw this or paint this thing for you. And I just haven't had that desire. And not for any other reason, but just my own little things of my own idiosyncrasies of, well, what style should I do this in? What material am I going to use for this? What's the best composition for it? Instead of just honestly just getting down and just drawing it and getting into the weeds of it. Yeah, it's sometimes it is like just me. I have a what I call bullshit sketchbook, where it's literally just. Because again, we all look at what's on Twitter and Instagram and everything else, and people have these immaculate sketchbooks, which I know it's not real. It's done just for the spectacle, for the visual. So I just have this sketchbook where I have one rule: no pencil. It's all pen, marker. I can't erase it. I can't fix it. If I fuck up, I fuck up, and I don't post that because it's not for anyone. It's not for me to post on. Instagram, or even I restarted DeviantArt, so I realized people still go to that site.
I realized that too recently. I was right. Like, wow, and they changed it.
It is. I do feel it's worse now than it was, which in many different ways, but the interface and that part to me seems less user friendly than when it was 10 years ago. But again, at this point, I might as well just be the old man yelling at the clouds about that. But yeah, just kind of, just getting in and posting things and, seeing if that sparks anything. Because again, we get that dopamine hit of I posted, we get the comment and that or I spurge you to do more work. And yeah, I mean, I have things that I finally just started to get working on, and it's 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, an hour here, 10 minutes there, whatever it is, but a lot of it is just, it comes down to I just have to fucking do it. That's really what it is. I think we might have talked about this last time we were here. It's just
the discipline
of you just have to fucking do it. You just have to schedule yourself in even if it's 20 minutes a day, if I'm going to do this bullshit sketching that I'm never going to post anywhere, it's just for me, but it's for me though, so that I can go and do my other things that I really want to do. And yeah, I mean, I struggle with that. I mean, yes, I do. Yes, I'll see I've done this album cover thing here, this book cover there, a commission here and there that I may or may not post, but honestly, me sitting down and sketching, for 30 minutes a day or whatever. Yeah. No, that's gone, and I feel again, because I have these other things that I need to do for other people. It's holding me back. I'm well, I feel guilty if I'm sketching for myself versus I should be working on this thing that I promised someone a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And especially because it's not a commission. It's oh, it's my birthday, I want to pick random people. You draw a picture for them. Yeah, I'll get it done to you in 3 weeks. It's fucking 14 months later. So it's hard, and I try to do it, and then it's oh, let me go, watch some real Ghostbusters on YouTube, or let me go and post on some message board about fucking toys or whatever, or oh, I have to actually go grade 300 projects today. Let me go do that now, or Kenzie's tooth, her teeth are coming in, so she's crying all night. It's those things where it takes precedence over let me sit down and draw and paint and sculpt or whatever. Or I know this happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you guys where you're watching something and you go, oh, casting and molding. That sounds really good. What are they using? Oh, let me go buy that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. Sitting in the closet for the last 2 years, haven't touched it. Oh, I want to do screen printing. Oh, I got some. Oh, let me go get a screen printing kit. Haven't opened it up yet. You know, it's like it boggles my mind. Or like, oh, I see this person's using, this watercolor brand. I'm like, stop doing this shit. You have too much. Stop it. Just stop.
Yep.
They have gouache. Fuck it. No, just stop it. That's what it comes down to. It's like, all right, I have all these things. Let me work through all this stuff first. But yeah, it's always just something comes up, or it's like my mouth hurts because I went to the dentist and I got a fill-in crown, and there's all these other different things where it's like everything comes in. And it's like, oh, I'm tired, or the fucking, the stars aren't aligned right, or it's just,
there's always an excuse,
right?
And you're right, and it's just the feeling that I've been having is also coupled with, I didn't like the way I did it last time. I didn't like what and if this didn't turn out well, no, fuck this. I don't want to do this. And I even make it so easy for myself. I have an area in my living room where I normally sit and watch television. And so I've put strategically within arm's reach, I have art materials, or the iPad or something, so that it makes it easier to do. Like, oh yeah, I maybe something's on television, I'm watching a movie or something, and I get an idea. I can reach over, nothing. It's just like, yeah. So, and granted, the world hasn't helped.
Of course,
the world hasn't helped in the least. We're still in a goddamn pandemic, and now we're on the brink of World War III. What the actual fuck? I mean. Yeah. So and I say this all the time. Where are the fucking aliens?
Yeah.
Where are the fucking aliens? Right.
We talked.
We
about
are
that
the
in
aliens.
2020. We
are the aliens. That's the problem. We are the aliens.
Oh my God. Don't even get me fucking started, bro. Don't even get me started.
Oh my God.
You know what? Us. We are the aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Not humans, but us.
Us, yeah.
Because we're so. I don't know. I feel on the outside. I've felt on the outside for a long time, ever since I was a child, but now more so than ever, because I look at all of this and I'm like, this can't be real. I mean, every bit of the last at least 2.5 years has been surreal. And then today and yesterday, and it's just compounded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess on one hand I can, and I should give myself a pass and say, look, things haven't been the way, ideal, let's say. They haven't been ideal. But at the same time, like you said, Nick, we see on Instagram and the socials that, we got people that are, putting out this beautiful work. I get it. I know that when I see a finished piece by anybody, whether it be Picasso or Art Adams, I know that their journey to get them to that point has been a long one and a hard one. I understand that. And when we take into consideration that we are seeing a final product, even if we're talking about a sketch, we're talking about the final product of how many decades of work. I get it. we can't compare ourselves to any of that. And I totally, I guess, logically understand that, but it's the emotional aspect of it. And it's a fight. It's a fight on a constant basis. It's, I know I can draw. I've done it. I've sold work and I've been published. I get it. But it really is a fight. And there are times, like I said, right now, I feel a disconnect, and I look to things like, my Thursday nights, at least for, the camaraderie, the music, this camaraderie of just a bunch of idiots that know they can bitch for a little while. And we understand each other, and the word fuck doesn't turn you off. I am happy that we can do this, but it gets tough. It gets tough, and I think that the art world does suffer from it. And I'm sure there's a lot of us that are like this.
Yeah,
it's a lot of what they call it, like the imposter syndrome. Where you feel that's where a lot of it is, where it's like you feel like you don't deserve it, you're faking it, you're not worthy of any of the praise, and that affects a lot of us. I know my friend talks to me all the time about that, where they gave up, like their job, to pursue art full time, and they feel like they're not worthy of it. And I think everyone goes through that. Every artist goes through that. Whether you're a visual artist, a musician, a dancer, an actor, a performer, where you're like, I don't deserve this because I'm not as good as I think I am. And I know for me, that's what holds me back a lot, is I don't feel my skill levels to the point where it should be, or where I want it to be to work on this particular project, because I want it to look this good. So my skill level has to be here, but I'm only here. And there's a lot of that going on, and that wrestling to it, where it's like, I don't want to fill in that gap, but my hand doesn't work fast enough for my brain, to comprehend like what it wants it to do. So it only can produce certain things. My eyes look at it and go, this looks like dog shit, even though to most anyone else, to the normies, and even to other artists, it's like, that's good. Normies. Yeah, you like that. Yeah. I forgot where I pulled that from. It's a fucking great term. But I stole it from somewhere. I forgot where I stole it from. But it's like, yeah, like you look at like whatever, like what we do, and it's, like we know it's not the best we can do. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is that we always want to put our best foot forward. We always want to present the best of what we can do. And
we do. And what's interesting, and I mentioned Picasso before, in the history of artists, I don't know that there's anyone quite like him, because he took his art to a point where, and I don't know how old he was. I believe it was in his 70s, could possibly have been in his 80s. But he got to a point where he was like, well, it's about the best I'm going to do. And then he said, whatever. And he went and did the stuff that we know now. And that is the most priceless of his work, which is just him taking a brush and drawing a crazy cartoon hand holding a bunch of flowers. And Don Quixote, he decided he did the best he could possibly do. And he had reached his pinnacle. You were just saying a second ago, Nick, that you always feel like, yeah, but I can do better. And that's, I think personally, that is what compels me to continue to do art. But I think that's also part of what I was talking about earlier, is that I know I can do better, and I haven't to this point. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, well, and although I got to be honest, G, you bang the shit out, man.
Yeah.
And
fuck you.
Fuck you. That Robert Pattinson you just did as Batman. I mean, you could see. It's what's funny is I scroll through Instagram, and it makes me hate myself as usual. But I'm scrolling through and I see, you see the image, and it's funny. Now I know it's you before I look to see whose name it is. So I'm like, it's got to be G. And then there it is. But, and with Nick, I'll be honest, I know I can recognize your work from a distance as well.
But how bad it is.
No, it's I mean,
no, but everyone has a certain aesthetic to their work. So you start to identify that. And
which is weird. Which is weird because I can't see that in my work, but I can tell if it's Rickman's work or your work.
Yeah, that's because when you're looking at your work every day, especially when you're working on it to posting on it and all that, like you're seeing it constantly. So it becomes just kind of like whatever at that point. But
Which I have a question for you, G. How did you land on your aesthetic now with the pencil rendering and the way that you construct faces and your mark making? How did you arrive to that conclusion of like this is what I'm doing and this is me?
Man, and people have been asking me that recently. My brother asked me that on here. Another artist, Ken Lucas, asked me that. I don't know. I just became obsessed with the hatching, just strokes. And I don't know. I just, I'm just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Is it because of the material that you use? Because I know, Rick, we've talked about this many times where what material you use affects the way your drawing looks. So we've talked about like, you're using like this fine mechanical pencil. You want to do like really, really tight renderings, or like using a big fat brush. You want to do bigger, broader, looser strokes. Right. So just wondering if it changed the material that you were using, or like you were looking at a lot of artists' work.
I don't think the material. I always use the same material. It's just a matter of the technique, if you want to say the technique with the hatching. I just really started utilizing it more and started just doing more of it, more fine strokes, to get more depth.
You ever tried doing ballpoint pen?
Yeah, but it's just like I have to take small steps into that comfort level of sketching without being able to undo, right? Like you have your book of strokes with like it's all ink, like so you can't cover it up, or you can't.
But even if you're doing like something with ballpoint pen, you could do like a light pencil sketch, just an outline, and then like all your rendering and all that stuff with the pen.
Yeah,
I know Frank Cho. That's what he does with his work. He will he'll draw his figures or his subject matter with pencil, but all the detail and all the line work is all done with the ballpoint pen.
There's an artist I follow that uses the it's like the quill pen tip, but it's not quill
pen. Yeah, Pro Quill pen.
Yeah, thank you.
Or mapping point. Sometimes depending upon the shape and the point, they can be called mapping points, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
Mapping points are thinner. They're thinner and smaller. Yeah.
Right. So this artist, I'm terrible with names, but he does hatching and cross hatching with that pen.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's just so
Alfonso
good.
Dunn.
Probably. I'm
Alphonse Dunn or Alfonso Dunn. I know. Yeah, he did the
like his content on Instagram are all like reels. They're all videos.
And sometimes he'll use a dip pen that's made of glass. Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and I know exactly. Yeah. Let me just double
immaculate.
Let me just double check the name real quick, so I'm not fucking up his name.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question for me to try to answer because again, I don't know what really triggered it. I just suddenly became obsessive with portraits and just trying to capture a level of a likeness and accuracy, but have it in a way where, I guess like my peers, you guys can identify a portrait when seeing it before the name on it, attached to it. So like giving it that, what you want to call it, that Toronto twist to it. Whatever you want to call
Toronto twist. Yeah.
Toronto twist. But again, like I do like the idea of doing the ballpoint pen. But see, like that could be another obsession for me. And I don't know if, I'm not counting it out, but it's like, I have to be careful because if once I start it, I'll become obsessive. And then that's all you're going to see are pen sketches, which is great. But I'm trying to go back into like doing my paintings again and trying
to. That's the trap. That's the trap I fell into. And it is Alfonso Dunn, by the way. He is phenomenal. Like if you don't have his books, please get them. Like you learn a lot about ink techniques, textures, rendering, line weights. Like the nuts and bolts of like how like to really render well using ink, with a dip pen or a crow quill, whatever you want to call it. But I have the same struggle where do I do it in watercolor? Do I do it in marker? Do I do it in ballpoint pen? Do I do it in this? Do I do it in that? And I realize I could do it however the fuck I want to. And there's nothing wrong with like saying I'm doing marker. Look, I did marker drawings for years.
Yeah.
Then I was just switched to watercolor, because I realized the techniques are very similar. On the side though, it's like, okay, so, I'm doing watercolor paintings, but I'll do oil paintings too. Or now, and maybe with Rick too, this might help with like breaking that streak. If you're used to doing one thing the whole time, it's route, it's just, I'm doing fucking the same thing. And this is where like why I still continue to always create art, because I switch things up. Like I'll do, block printing. I'll go buy fucking linoleum or easy carved blocks, I'll do printmaking and I'll just do that because I follow enough artists. Like one of my favorites is Attack Peter on Instagram, where he does like, monster Godzilla prints, but like they all look very not like stylized but done very well. And it's like intriguing to look at that visual. I'm like, that looks really cool. And I know how to do that because it's something, again, I guess being an art teacher, like at least my philosophy is I want to be very good, if not excellent at everything that I teach. Instead of just like, all right, kids, here we go. Make a fucking smiley face, macaroni necklace for Mother's Day. Here, have fun. Go fuck off,
Go
Mr.
fuck off.
Go fuck off. Mr. Mockoviak said I have his, Jack and Coke now. Goodbye. It's like, yeah, go to the bathroom. I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. But switching up those, those visual paths that you take, like again, can lead to a lot of opportunities because, like when I switched to doing watercolor and birds, and I ended up, doing again, it was not. The board game never materialized, but I did work for a few months on doing these bird illustrations for a board game that I would have never have gotten if I didn't switch to doing birds in watercolor as well, or like doing comic books. If I didn't decide to switch from doing comic strips of like Garfield, The Far Side, Calvin and Hobbes, and doing more superhero stuff, I wouldn't have gotten these opportunities. Or just doing commissions based off like, hey, can you do, I saw your commission, you did this Godzilla painting, in gouache or in pen and ink or whatever. Can you do that for me? Switching up the material sometimes helps too, because just doing something different or even outside your comfort zone, I think opens up a world of opportunity and like new things. Is it frustrating in the beginning? Absolutely it is. But I feel a lot of that too is like, if you're doing like sequential work for a while, don't do sequential shit. Do just landscape paintings. Or like, right. For me, I'm like, I'm getting that kind of itch to do sequential stuff. So, okay, let me put my other, bird shit to the side. Let me do sequentials. At the same time, I want to do like botanical watercolor paintings, like highly technical, rendered, because I know I can do it. My skill set's not quite there, but I'm like, all right, I see you, motherfucker. I'm gonna take you on, and I'm gonna make you my bitch. And that's really what it is too.
It's interesting because
but you have to be with yourself though. It's competitive with yourself because like you want to be better. You know,
right? But I think though what originally going back to Rickman's like question and point.
Did I not answer it? Did I like?
Oh no, you have. But no. Hold on. Sorry. Let me reword.
I just started rambling. I don't know what the hell.
No. It's fine. No, you did, but I'm gonna add on to it because you
Rick,
did.
Did I answer it for you?
Well, you know what? I guess it's an ongoing process. So,
I'm agreeing with you. I didn't mean to come off like I was like I didn't mean to just like.
Gee, we're fucking with you. It's okay.
Let me actually
guys.
answer the question.
Oh my God, what's happening? Why is there shit in my pants? No. You were.
Maybe you should go to a doctor and see if it's that.
No, you were on point with what you were saying, but what I want to add on to that is because like you're coming. I might be wrong, but you're coming at it from a technical perspective.
Yes.
Whereas like Rickman, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that because like you were saying, we're all like multifaceted with in terms of creating. So, you're a musician as well, and singer songwriter as well as an illustrator. So you are utilizing more of your creative tools, and I think you're just at the point where. Yeah, you just maybe just shifted more of your focus on the music aspect, and that's great. And I think it's okay to like when you start picking up the pencil again and things feel off or just not to your usual standards. It's just because like you gotta warm up. Everyone needs a warm up, and I think
play scales.
And like no, but I think you just gotta maybe take a step back and just like. Kind of remind yourself like, like I'm not just this type of artist. Like I am an artist. So I'm going to be an artist of all these things that I love to pursue. So it's just a matter of,
the jack of all trades.
So when you start, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
But you're absolutely right. And okay. Both of you are right. Where Nick was talking about, like, try to do something different or try to reconnect in some other way in something that you haven't been doing. And what happened recently with me, and I really just most recently, it had been feeling very, I had been feeling very constricted artistically. It sounds dangerous and medical, but I was feeling. Like I really didn't know my place and what to do. And I used to run a life drawing session. I ran it since 2008. And obviously we had to stop because of the pandemic. Yeah. And just a few weeks ago, it started up again. And being that I had to, and this is actually it's very funny, but being that I had to use a pencil on a piece of paper instead of a stylus on a screen really changed everything up in my head. And there was a point, and I swear to God, I'm drawing and I started a little too far over to one side. And had I been on the iPad, I just would have changed the canvas, but I couldn't. So I slid the paper over and I drew off onto another piece of paper. But another thing that really, really helped, and I think I'm just like moving through this whole existential crisis that I'm going through. But one of the things that really helped was this week's model was phenomenal. I mean, I tend to have fantastic models because if they're not fantastic, if they're not, up to the at least a standard, then I usually don't invite them back. But this one model, her name's Tina Rose. She's an amazing and creative person. she's got some tattoos, and she's got some piercings, and she's got really long dreadlocks. And she just, I always bring props, and I had some hats and like a gun and things like that. And I brought a skull. For no reason, I brought a skull. And she grabs the top hat, puts the top hat on, and grabs the skull and started posing.
Nice.
I was like, I started drawing these things that I am absolutely going to like use them and build from them. But it was someone else being creative in front of me that inspired me to do something more creative. And it's we always look at Instagram and the social media stuff and each other and compare ourselves. But there is a possibility that there's oftentimes when you see something that someone else did that inspires you to go further.
Yeah.
Like Nick, you're talking about the floral illustrations. Honestly, I wouldn't even question if you tried to do that kind of stuff, because that's directly in your wheelhouse. And I would love to see that, and gee, the way you've moved into portraiture and with the textures that you've used, I mean, it kind of feels like a natural progression if you look back at the stuff you were doing a couple of years ago to now. It's a progression that you absolutely, it's a trajectory that I could see. So I don't know. I think that a lot of times, if you get too technical with it, it might just run you off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we get in our own way too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I think we get in our own heads real quick though. That's what I'm trying to say, is because like when you start, like, again, like you just have to it's like that readjustment period, like you just have to kind of readjust when you're going from screen to paper or from music to illustration or podcasting to portraits or going back to the paintings. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm just speaking from experience now. Like, I've been doing this lately. It's just like, when something feels off, it's just like, it's just like, I know, like the Batman sketch, like, yeah, of course I could do that better or whatever. But like, I haven't sketched in a while because I was just so heavy with the podcasting lately. But, it's just kind of recognize that like you're being creative in all these other ways. And that just, it's just something to take into account for, like, when you're feeling like, oh, what, like, I'm better than this. It's like, you just take a step back and be like, oh, but you know what? Like, I've been just kind of doing other things too. And it's just, you just got to switch gears and just kind of readjust. That's what I think. And I'm, again, just speaking from experience, because like you guys always talk about like how I'm always putting out content and stuff. And that's the thing with social media, something I'm always remembering it, like while I'm going through the motions, is that like you can use content and like, manipulate the view. Like, it's like, it may look like I'm putting a lot of content up, but it's like, it could be old content that like you haven't seen, or I've reused it and you haven't seen it in a while. So there's always like that,
sleight of hand. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
But you have content though. That's the other thing too. Like, you have content, whether it's today, years old, or it goes back 6 months, you have content. I think what Rick's saying too is like, we don't have like the content to sustain like that, the platform of like, let's put out like once a month or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think because you do like Instagram does like the top 9 of the year.
Yeah.
I think I posted maybe 10 or 11 times in 2021. And then, I mean, it's like, this is my top. It's like, oh, your total posts like get like, 40 hearts or likes. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's tough because you are looking at like this, and I'll still look at a picture and go, are you fucking kidding me? This picture has this many views, and it looks like something that I fucking drew with my left hand while I'm intoxicated. Are you fucking out of your mind? But then what comforts me, and this is gonna sound, I'm already an asshole, so whatever. I'm like,
I thought that was the subtext of all this.
Oh no, it's very upfront. I don't have the context of it. Like I'm an asshole. Like, and you just have to get used to it. Like, so I look at these pictures and I'm like, oh, but you don't have health insurance or 403B, so okay, hurts a little bit, but yeah. Oh yeah, see, both of you are like, what? No, see, it hurts. It hurts. But I mean, like, going back to that, it's like with art, it's like it's something that like you, like, why do you do it?
Yeah,
that's something like Rick, Carl, right?
Yeah.
Love Carl. Carl's fucking man. He doesn't listen to this shit, but you're the man though. Especially love when you got your shirts. I don't know how you got them. I don't ask. I don't ask. So, but like we would always have these conversations about like going to the shows, and like obviously Carl knows that I'm a teacher and like, I do make a good living. I'll put it at that. I'm not struggling to pay bills and all that. So he's like, why do you still go to conventions where I'm losing money, where I'm spending what $200 on a table, and I'm driving to and from the show, or I have to get a hotel, I have to make prints made. So I'm spending all this out of the pocket. Why do you still do this stuff? And it's because I want that connection with people. And we talk about it all the time. Like, I stopped going to shows years ago because I wanted to make money. I realized like we are all at a level where like we have a certain plateau, unfortunately. Like we won't really hit that next part until either the market comes to us or we go to that next step, of notoriety, fame, whatever. Like I go really to like bullshit with you guys. That's why I go. Yeah, I could just pay the $30 to go, like has a normie walk around the show, but like having a table and selling the prints and or whatever, but just connecting with the circus. Like I think, G, you were talking about before, like like the camaraderie, comedians. I think like it's like a circus. We're the traveling sideshow. The Breeder Lady. Like the freak with three eyes. Like that's what we are to a certain degree. Yeah.
And you get a chair.
Sometimes.
Oh, I always
sometimes
have my own chairs.
You're not wrong.
But that's like where it comes down to like, why do we still do this? Like, why are we still going to shows? Like, why do we still want that? We want the connection of it. We want community. Yeah. Like, I think for me, because the last couple of years, like I've, worked 6 days a week, 3 jobs, night gigs, commissions, whatever. I miss taking classes. I miss going to a studio. I'm not the teacher. I'm just a student. I sit down, I shut up, I listen, I draw or paint. I miss that. Because to your point, Rickman, like I was producing a lot of work because I was taking classes. So I had to do something. I have to justify the fee that I'm spending and the time that I'm spending in this location, for a couple hours a week. So for a while, that's what kept me going. I was just taking classes. I would just Oh, watercolor class, all right. And I got hooked on that. Oh, let me do oil here. Oh, let me take this drawing class here. And I would, because again, while this is nice, having the physical presence of other people with that common interest or thread, and having someone talk to you in real time about your work and can point out to you physically what's working or like what they like about it, or just getting feedback from other people who don't know you from a fucking hole in the wall is something that like you can't get from meeting over Zoom or online classes or anything else. And that's what kept me going, or even going to conventions. It's like, hey, Rick, like, look at this print. Look at this print idea. What do you think about it? And like, oh, Nick, what about this idea? Or gee, what about that? Like, having that in-person interaction is something that's what keeps me going. Why I still want to go to shows. Whether it's nice to make a profit, but at some points, like it kind of my reasons kind of supersedes that.
So are you guys doing any upcoming events for spring or summer? No, not interested, or just?
I mean, if JP throws me a bone, I'll go do a show.
Yeah.
Have you contacted him? Because he actually he reached out to me. I know he had a table. I was unable to do it, and I had to decline. But if you let him know, keep me in mind. Because these days, I don't know if you've been in any recently, but they have to be further apart.
Well, the last show that we did together was November in Clifton.
Oh, I guess then I haven't done anything since then.
Yeah, and
so
I mean,
coming up though, you don't plan on doing.
No.
Well, is it just the comic book scene, or because like we were talking the last time, where it's like maybe it's not just the I'm doing other artisan events sometimes.
I mean, again, like me personally, I have a lot of school stuff going on, so I'm just like I don't really have time. Plus still working on Saturdays, I'm pretty limited to like what I can do.
Yeah,
but I mean, it seems like summertime is kind of like the high time for conventions of all art types, not just comics, but like fine art, vintage stuff, all sorts of things kind of happen between like Memorial Day and like probably to about Halloween seems to be like that kind of time frame,
Yeah.
And
at least in this area,
yeah, at least here, like in Virginia, I don't know how, like I don't know, like that. It's all everywhere's a little different, like here, like
Virginia. There's a lot of like now spring is coming up, so there's this one event that's it's like every weekend. There's like there's so many pop-up markets, artisan markets. I think I talked about it last time. It's a lot of handmade stuff, crafters, and it's cool. And there are illustrators and artists out there too. So I just dipped my toes in that market scene just a few times last year. So my whole problem now is just finance. So I started working a side gig. So now I can start investing towards the business again, because that's really what's been holding me back, is not being able to have the money to finance the table spaces and stuff, because they are, to me, maybe I'm being a bitch, but they're kind of pricey to my liking.
What are they charging?
So like maybe like 55 and up for maybe like a 5-hour event.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So, and some of them, and it depends on the scale, right? That it depends on how big the scale is. So like the bigger the event, so the more the space is going to cost, and that might require application fee. Like there's I don't want to announce it yet, but I'm trying to get in on this art festival in Charlottesville. Like they have they're like they love the arts there. I mean, they really embrace it here. It's a great scene for it. There's just so many things going on. But in Charlottesville, there's this art festival I'm trying to get in on, and it's pretty pricey. It's a whole weekend event, but the person I'm talking to right now, she's been super helpful and working with me on the budget part. But yeah, it's just a little pricier than what I'm used to. Like I'm used to paying, like I used to do all those Trenton shows, and now they bumped up the prices to, what is it? I want to say $125 for a table for 8 hours.
How many days is it? It's the punk rock thing, right?
Yeah, it's I think for one day. For one day, 8 hours.
Ill. Fuck that. Yeah. No. Oh, I was gonna say, like, I got used.
But there's like conventions that charge like $300 easy. You know, right?
Yeah, no
like
shit.
Monster Mania.
I paid those many times.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm like, I remember, I did Monster Mania down in Cherry Hill. I think that was the one. That was probably the only show I actually like just broke down and fucking cried of like not selling a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Monster Mania where?
What was in Cherry
Hill?
Yeah, is that Monster Mania? That's not Cherry.
Yeah.
All right. So I did
What's
that
the
show.
one in Parsippany?
Chiller.
Yeah.
That's Chiller. So I did Monster Mania probably, I think this was 2015, 16, a while back.
Okay.
And I took the day off from work because of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I took Friday off so I could do this show. And I'm figuring this is the alley-oop. This is the layup. Like I got Universal monster prints. I got Hammer horror prints, and I always bring, Cat Punch Hitler because why not?
Yeah.
And I'm in the hotel. Should have known right away because we were like in a side room away from the main convention. And I'm in a room with Road Warrior Animal, which, big wrestling fan, Animal, Legion of Doom. That's cool. But it's like him. And like my room is like toy dealers, t-shirt guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, here's my horror stuff. But this was like Friday and Saturday. I sold exactly nothing.
Wow.
People came by and like, oh, this is nice stuff. And again, like wearing like the Andy Warhol inspired Frankenstein shirt like you have right now, and like look, okay. I remember driving home because I'm like, let me save some money. I'm just going to drive from Cherry Hill to Colonia. And I remember like calling my wife and just being a flood of tears or just breaking down of like feeling like absolute shit. Like, here's a show I should be killing and I'm dead at, dead in the water. And I just remember like just being frustrated. Like, I just want like Burger King. And she like, it was like completely straight up. She wasn't like, shut the fuck up, you asshole. The burger, like, that was there. And, like, I just felt so defeated. And I think that's one of the shows where that really turned my opinion of like doing conventions of like, here I am, the monster kid, and I can't sell monster shit on the show. Do you know what sells? Captain America punching Hitler in the fucking face.
I went to that show. Now, what year were you talking about?
I don't remember. It was 2015 or 16. I can't remember offhand. I
did the same show in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, and I did it because I had published Zach Meets the Zombie. Okay, the children's book that I did. And a guy, a friend of mine that was part of the publishing company, if you will. He's like, I found this convention. It's in Cherry Hill. Let's do it. I'm like, all right. So we did the show, and I sold a couple of Zach books, but what actually sold were my Doctor Who prints. You know, and I actually had to. I sold through what I had of. I had a David Tennant, I had Matt Smith, and I had Tom Baker. And I sold through the David Tennant and Matt Smiths and had to send my buddy with a thumb drive out to get more at some local print shop. And I probably sold 3 times the amount of prints that I would ever sell anywhere else. But they were of things that, you know, and I had some monsters in there, obviously the Zach thing. And I had monsters in there. I had like the Creature from the Black Lagoon and stuff like that. And here I'm thinking, you know, these are like, you open your portfolio on the table to something. And that's what I had open to. And then people kept flipping through it and seeing Doctor Who. And after a while, I was like, all right, I'm leaving the Doctor Who pages open. That's what I sold. And it was a weird show when we did it, because it really, the configuration, it was kind of spiral almost. And people were coming down a stairway, and they would see me, and there was like 3 or 4 of us in a row, and they would curl around and they would go into the other rooms. But I didn't do fantastic, but we paid for our stay and a little bit more. You know, we basically paid for our stay and our food and everything.
I couldn't even do that.
Really?
I mean, like I said, I got paid in compliments.
Wow.
On Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, a couple artists that like we kind of became, you know, friendly with, you know, like they were like doing, you know, moderately well, and they came over to my table like, and like, well, how much? Like, well, have you done? I'm like, I've sold nothing, and actually they got some like pity buys out of them.
Well, I should say though, because for going back to Trenton though, before they upped their prices, because I was paying like $100 and some change for a table there, but I was always successful at their events. Like that's something I should point out. Is like every time I did their shows, I was always making profit. So like it was pricey, but I always got my money back and more. So it always worked out. But here it's a little more expensive, and the events are a little shorter, and I have no exposure. Like I'm trying to create my own exposure. So that's when I'm, you know, a lot of times I'm hesitant on doing these markets because, you know, like it's just the outcome might not, it might take a while for people to recognize me and start appreciating my work and start liking what I have and whatever. Like, you know, so many other factors.
What are people looking for exactly down?
I don't fucking know. That's what I'm trying to figure out now. Because like when I was doing that's like honestly, but that's the thing. Because in Trenton, I don't want to say I was a regular there, because I mean that's kind of hard to like. I mean I've been doing events with them for years, so I don't know.
That makes you a regular,
I guess. So like. You know, because there were people I would recognize and whatever. So I knew like my demographic there. So now here it's like I gotta figure out like who likes like my old work and who's gonna gravitate towards my current work. Because that's the thing. Like I have a lot of stuff here that I've never shown in Trenton because ever since I left. So. You know, I feel like the stuff I have, my current stuff is actually more suitable for the punk rock scene. As for this scene, is a little more, I guess, kind of more fine artsy, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still figuring out what the people like here, or or at least what they like about my work, So, but it's always been a financial issue for me, just because like I have no, I'm not working a job on the side like you guys. Like I just got a side gig, but so like the creative work is probably going to slow down a little bit just because from that. But
so you're gonna do like 3 posts a week as opposed to 5.
yeah, it's gonna be once a day.
Oh yeah, once a day.
One a day, nice.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. That's
like
slowing down.
I like my jack off schedule. Once or twice a day.
Wouldn't we all want? Yeah.
You got to give it that refractory period, man.
Well, yeah, a little bit. As you get older, it takes longer to reload.
No, but here's the question then, right? If not events, it's like what's next? Right? What's next for Nick Mockoviak? What's next for Rickman Art in terms of where you're taking your artwork or the direction you want to go with your artwork? Like you Rickman, friend, you have your like punk girl like portraits, which are really badass. So like,
fuck do we know? Like we don't fucking know.
So like, has that been something you've kept in your mind, considering like creating a narrative with that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, all right. Interesting choice of words. Creating a narrative. It is something that I have done as comics, which is panel to panel continuity. And Nick, you just mentioned you were interested in doing that too. We should talk more about this. But my where do I want to go? I got to be honest with you.
It's a loaded question, so however you answer is whatever. It's all
the
good.
way I am. I mean, with the piece that I just did. Okay, the one that I say just did. It was weeks that it took me to do. That was just. I sometimes am just inspired by a photograph or by something I've seen on television. And that was inspired by a model on one of these sites. And then I just decided to give her, different attributes. And just recently, maybe a month ago, I published on Instagram a 9-page science fiction comic story. And that I had been working on for, I think I started it 4 years ago. It was a story that I started to draw with the kids when I was teaching the kids, because I wanted to show them, we're all doing a story. So I wanted to draw a story while they were drawing their stories. And we could talk about, well, this is the penciling, this is the thumbnails, this is, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? I mean, I got to tell you, I literally just 4 days ago was inspired towards something. Like I literally had the thought while I was in that life drawing session I was talking about. I did a couple of drawings of this woman, and I just decided, you know what? I want to do a couple of those. I've also been wanting to do more comic book work, more panel to panel. The science fiction story, it's on my Instagram. I think it's called Alien Savage. Mm-hmm. And it was supposed to be like a Twilight Zone type of episode. It's just a couple of pages, but that had sat for like years. And then I started, I worked the colors out and whatever else. And it made me think, I want to do more comic books. Mm-hmm. I know it makes no fucking sense to do comic books. It really doesn't.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
online comics is still a thing, because I have a friend that does online comics. And
I'm just saying it makes no money. It's literally
Sell it to Amazon Prime or Netflix.
There you go.
That's the money right there.
Yeah. Well, when you start asking the money question, then I guess that's something I didn't even think about the money aspect.
Oh, I never.
was just thinking in terms of
I'm not asking the money question. I know the answer to the money question already.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to make any money. We do comics. Those of us that still do comics and art in general. I mean, the three of us alone. The only reason we do the art is because we have an inborn need to
do it.
Get this shit out of us. It's in there. It's going to fester. And if it doesn't come out, we're going to go nuts. Mm-hmm. I don't, that's what I guess, going all the way back to the beginning of our fucking conversation. That's what I think is the most of the problem with why I have no connection, why I'm feeling no connection to my creativity. Okay. Because if it sits and it festers too long, it's going to be a fucking problem. And it's going to be a problem for every fucking body. If I got to go down, I'm taking the rest of you down with me. It's seriously, it's that's what I feel is most necessary for creatives.
Okay.
You need your outlet. If you don't have your outlet, what the fuck do you do?
I see what you're saying. I resonate with that. I feel like I'm always on repeat when I bring it up, but like the art series I'm working on, the Tech Utopia. I'm not gonna fucking ramble on about it too much. I'm just gonna say that that's just something, going back to like the narrative part, is just building on that thing. So that's why I was like asking you, like, was that something you were working up?
Well, what you've been doing again, and we can stroke each other's egos a little bit.
No, we don't have
the tech stuff that you've been doing, right? The tech stuff that you've been doing, I fucking love that shit. And when I talk about being inspired, I'm talking about you guys too. I see your work and I'm like, oh man, every Godzilla that comes out of Nick is like, man, I want to draw monsters, and it's like that, and gee, the tech dystopia thing that you're creating. And I mean, I would love to see some story through line as to what the fuck is going on here and why, because to me, I love science fiction. Hi, my name is Rick. I'm a science fiction addict. But
nerd.
Yeah, exactly.
But the reason why I brought it up initially was the reason why I brought that up was because going back to like not being connected with your work, it takes so much of an effort for me to like get back in a headspace to go back to that work, to that body of work, the Tech Utopia series. Yeah. Because it's such a dark place. So sometimes I have to like get in this, I have to like sit down and then like really dig deep and like kind of like dig myself in this hole and like back into this crazy world. And, that's kind of how I was equating to what you're saying is like, it takes a lot for me to like try to reconnect to that narrative of art, that work. So
I mean, I think you're hitting on the same thing that I was just saying too, like the comic thing. I would love to get back in the comic book thing, but it's interesting that so you're talking about you do have a world in mind.
I mean, it's like weird saying it like that. Like that's just the best way I can put it, but it's yeah, I mean,
maybe it's more of a reality.
I mean, it is. It's just it's just a very twisted take on it. It's like a Matrix, It's we're all plugged in,
all right.
So it all kind of ties in, but it's just the way I'm depicting it is like dark and It's all wires and shit, even though like everything's all digital. But I mean, you kind of, there's like a weird beauty I find with the wires that I throw in there, the way they're placed, the way they're hanging, the direction they go, how far back, all that. Like, it's weird. It's like looking at tentacles or like vines.
Yeah.
So like I was like looking around and I'm like, there's always like I've always had like a process of placing my wires and the way they intertwine.
What is the process?
I find like an elegance to it. I don't know. Like I would have to.
Oh, did I asked a bad question? Apparently, I don't know.
There's a hentai joke in here somewhere.
I don't know.
There's a hentai joke in it with tentacles and wires.
Oh, like that fucking the octopusy shit.
Oh my god! I'm like, oh god, like you guys, no. I'm like, oh man.
I'm not a manga or anime guy.
I'm too in, like, yeah, I'm too still plugged into it where like I get like the teenage crowd asking me about yaoi and yuri, and I'm like, this is a very awkward conversation to have with you. Being I'm a fucking almost 40-year-old man, I'm talking to a 13-year-old about, gay and lesbian cartoon characters fucking each other.
I was about to ask what those were, but you've answered the question.
Yeah.
And
yaoi is male, yuri is female. But yeah, it's a thing. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Just for the record, Nick took it to the weird place, like not me.
No, you guys are talking like tentacles and fucking wires.
I said wires. I said wires, but I was.
You talking one and one fucking. I'm like, oh god, no! It's just,
who's the one that's high here?
No, I'm just drunk. You're high. There's a whole different state of mind right now.
Yeah.
I got no problem talking about sex. I mean, it's just I don't go. I mean.
No.
In my life of buying comics, I have bought adult comics. As a matter of fact, at the last show.
Yes, yeah. You were showing me. I'm like, okay.
You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I'm like, what the. It's like furry shit going on. I'm like, Rick, what the hell's going on? Why are these cats having sex?
It's a comic book series called Omaha the Cat Dancer. And it came out in the early mid 80s. And I loved it. I was working at a comic book store when it came out. And the artwork is beautiful. And the story is and there is a story. It's a long fucking story, too. It's very soap opera-like. As a matter of fact, are either of you familiar with Terry Moore's Strangers in Paradise?
Yes.
G doesn't seem to be. Okay.
No.
Well, there's your homework. Terry Moore. Homework. Your fucking homework. Terry Moore is a fantastic artist, writer, and publisher. And way back in the the before times, I'm gonna say
time ago.
But the 80s.
80s and 90s,
86, 87. Okay. He started a series called Strangers in Paradise. And that fucking thing, it started off small and kind of cute, and it was almost like a rom-com, and then it fucking exploded into this multinational espionage. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And he has been working this concept for what, fucking 35 years or something. And it recently culminated and finished, and it was mind-blowing. But that to a lesser degree, Omaha the Cat Dancer is a very involved and long story. It's got political intrigue and different romance. It's actually really well done, well Reed Waller is the author and artist, and I recommend it to anybody that likes to see naked anthropomorphic cats, dogs, and other animals have sex.
The thumbnail. Rickman
This episode is
justifies furry
sponsored-
porn.
The Rated G podcast is sponsored by furry porn.
Right. Rated G no more.
I'm not even sure if furries
Well, I don't
was
know.
a
Well,
labeled thing at the time.
Well, let me tell you though, like I think Rick, we talked about this before. That the furry population, they pay very well for commissions.
Yes, they do.
I have
Ask no questions.
yeah.
Just, yeah.
I have not, because I draw a line where I do commissions and like I really don't do, I don't do nudes or porn because it's not my wheelhouse. I don't do that.
Yeah.
There are other people who do it very well. But I remember I saw a while ago, I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
We're like, there's an artist who like their entire, like they paid like their mortgage on like furry porn because these motherfuckers pay.
And I have a question.
Go ahead.
Last time we spoke, did we talk about our convention stories, or did we put that to something that in the future?
You had a convention story
Oh,
to share that like
I
I
do.
already know about.
you do.
Yes. Which in that case, I'm going to go take a quick break to use the facilities. You can tell
okay.
G about it.
Wait, what's this convention story?
It's a story about well, we call it the we call it the panties story. And one of my friends, okay, so a couple of my friends and I went to believe it was Pittsburgh for, I don't know whether it was Pittsburgh Comic-Con or whether it was a Wizard World. But we went to the Comic-Con, and there were three of us sharing a room. Myself, my friend Doug, I'm just going to use his first name, but my friend Doug, and and one of my other friends, Glenn, was in the room with us. And what happened was we had a 3-day show. It was a 3-day, kind of a thing. And we were getting, we went out the night prior, and it was Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, what happens is Glenn would always get up before the rest of us because he worked a real job, and he always had to get up at 6 a.m. anyway. And the rest of us, I mean, me and Doug, we would sleep. But, and let me preface, on the way there, my buddy Doug, I was with him, and he was telling me about his new lady friend. That's how he used to refer to her, his lady friend. So anyhow, we get there, and what Doug does, Doug doesn't like to sleep on the bed at a hotel because he's seen too many of those news stories about when they have a black light.
Yeah.
So he brings a bedroll or a sleeping bag, if you will. And he always sleeps on that on top of the bed. So that Sunday morning, Glenn got up first, took a shower and left the room. And we were just getting up when he left. And my buddy Doug gets up and took a shower. He was in the shower, and Glenn comes back and he goes, "Rickman, you got to come out here. Bring your camera." And I'm like, "All right." So I go out, and in the hallway, a couple doors down, my friend Glenn found that in front of one of the doors there was the platter from the night before, like the food that these people had ordered the night before, 2 champagne flutes, and a pair of panties kind of draped over them. And he's like, take a picture of this. I want to put it on my blog. Back in the day, he had a blog. So I'm like, sure. I took a couple of pictures of it, and I went back in the room. And my buddy Doug was still in the shower, and I had this idea, and I'm like, So I left the room. I went to that hotel room door, and I grabbed the panties very gingerly, and I went back into the room, and I stuffed them into Doug's sleeping bag that was on top of the bed. You know, he had yet to roll his bed up and everything. And so I went and I took a shower when Doug came out, and I was getting myself ready. And Doug, what I knew he was going to do, grabbed his sleeping bag and fluffed it, you know, like shook it. And when he did that, the panties came flying out and they landed on the floor. And he's like, what the hell is this? Where did these come from? And I'm like, are those your panties? And he's like, I don't know whose panties they are. And then without a beat, he picks them up and he goes, I'll sniff them to see if I recognize the scent. And before my mind could connect these ideas, and he goes, I don't recognize the scent. And I'm screaming. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, wait, you don't know whose those are, and you just put them up to your face? And he goes, well, maybe they're my lady friends. And he sniffed them again. And I'm like, oh my God.
No, dude.
At this moment, Glenn walks in. And I told him the story that what Doug just did, and we both were laughing so hard we couldn't breathe. And he eventually I get out what I had just done and what Doug had just done. And he goes, oh man, fuck. And he goes into the bathroom, starts washing his face, and he comes out and he goes, as we were standing there, he goes, or Glenn says, you know, I saw somebody come out of that room. And he goes, you know who it was? And it was, man, Nick, who was the actor that played the lead role in Willow?
Val Kilmer?
No, not Val Kilmer.
Willow.
It's not Billy Barty, or it's
Willow. I'm blanking on the name right now.
If only we had
technology to tell us.
Technology. Hang on a second. I'm sorry.
I could totally just look it up as well.
Dude, we're dumb. We don't do
I'm
this.
giving it Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis had.
I need a producer.
Walked out of the room, and Glenn and I were laughing again, and he's like, what are you laughing at? It's like, well, Warwick Davis was, and he's like, oh man. And he dug in his very un-PC way. He's like, oh no, I had midget panties on my face. Well, so that was a story that went around the convention that day, and Doug, you know, never lived that down. Cut to about a year later, and we were having a show at a local comic book store where several of us were displaying our work. We called it the Independence Day show. It was around the 4th of July, and we're all independent artists. And as we were leaving, we were packing our stuff in, and Doug's still packing his stuff, and I'm in my car. And I'm like, I rode past him a little bit, and I had my window down. I'm like, hey, Doug, I hear Warwick Davis is a cross-dresser. And he's like, fuck! Anyway, that's the story. So that's the panty story. One day I'm going to illustrate it. I don't know. I should, but it was a very, it was because of the fact that later on, a couple of years later, I started teaching at the Joe Kubert School. And and Doug was also teaching at the Joe Kubert School.
Okay.
And they made me, the kids, they knew that there was a story and Doug wouldn't tell them the story. And they closed the door one day and locked it. And they're like, you got to tell us the story. So I had to tell them the story.
I had my brother on a while back, and he shared some insights on when he got into Joe Kubert School and taught there too. It's pretty neat. It's a two-parter, so it's like
it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time at the Kubert School because Jesus, we're going back to 2001. Those were the days that the building was the whole area of that block. Now it's half of that because they sold half of it off to, I think, Walgreens or something. Yeah. And it was also owned by the Kuberts still at the time, which it isn't any longer. Right. And it was like you couldn't use the third floor. After, I think I was there for a couple of years. After the second year, you couldn't use the third floor anymore because the ceiling was falling in. So we could only stay on the first floor. Yeah. But it was an interesting time.
Yeah. I mean it definitely sounded like it. And it was just really cool hearing his side of all of that.
He goes there or he teaches there?
Well, he went there. And then he ended up teaching there.
Oh, he did. Well. Does he still?
No. This was like in the late 90s, maybe.
Oh, all right.
He graduated. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Like it was funny because I mean like if people listening, they can always go back to it. Episode 100 and 101. He talks about like the graduation day, like how him and his friend, like they didn't have what was it? Like they're the only ones that had like illustrations at their table or something like that. I have to go back. But there was something funny where they like, they had to like whip something together like last minute. But like I actually have his animation reel, like his demo reel from Joe Kubert. Like he did a stop motion thing. Old, I mean, I'm sure you remember the tapes back then, like.
Oh yeah,
here it's the
VHS.
Yeah, but
I still have my VHS animation.
Yeah,
I don't know how to play it anymore because I don't have a VHS player. But
yeah, I still have my demo reel from the Art Institute. But I wanna revisit the question about like like what's next. Like Nick, what about you? Like, because you were going back to fine-tuning technique and whatnot. So being where you are right now, what do you think is the next step?
I have no idea. And I think that's part of the journey, but I have some ideas. So
yeah,
I think, and I've always shunned this idea for me, but every once in a while, I get the wave of like, you should do a gallery show. And I'm like, maybe, but I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm doing a gallery show. Like that's, I go back and forth of like, no, I want to do it too. No, I'm doing this shit. And I always, and again, because as we all know, we're our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
So like, what do I do it on? Am I doing it because there's things that like one of my biggest things like coming into like when I was like, like for me, like I went to community college, went to Middlesex County College, and I went to King University for art education. So I didn't go to like SVA or Kubert School or any other like all those like comic stuff. Like I went to real college, but I'll tell you now. Like I'll be honest with you, it doesn't matter where you go because it's what you put into the program. Like I know people who went to SVA right? One of the premier art colleges in the world, or at least here in the US. I have third graders who can fucking draw circles around these people. Legitimately. So it's not, again, your degree is a piece of paper with your name printed on it with where you went to. You can go to fucking clown college, which I know someone who did, and making a very good living.
As a clown?
No, I'm not disclosing that information. But again, like, you know, like there's, again, multiple pathways to get to where you want to go. Right. So, and I think I alluded to, I don't know if it was recorded or not, like your bucket list kind of things. So for me, it's like my own ego. What do I want to do? What do I want? Like, where do I want to go? Like, what do I push myself towards? So, like, yeah, gallery show would be nice, but it's like, what do I do it on? Is it birds or is it, because like I have a whole section, like sketchbook of like social topics and issues that like no one has ever seen, but I have those tucked away. Which, if you're familiar with like super flat artwork from Japan and oh my god, I had to remember the word for it. There's a whole subvertisements, what it is.
Well, using big words, bro.
You want me to like break it down for all of you?
Break it down.
Break it down. Do DX. So subvertisements is a take on advertisements, where like advertisements, they use advertisements and propaganda use a lot of the same visual vocabulary, you know, colors, shapes, lines to convey feelings and emotions to get you invested in the product. For example, like a lot of fast food, they use a lot of reds and yellows and oranges to convey like it's fast, but also fresh and it's warm. If you're buying things that are more like you know, like vegan, earth friendly, they use more, you know, like greens and blues and browns to convey like it's earth. And propaganda does the same thing. Like propaganda and advertisements are the exact same thing. Advertisements sell you a product. Propaganda sells you an idea or concept. That's the only difference. Otherwise, mascots, composition, all that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
What a subvertisement does, it subverts what that original thing is doing and showing what it, you know, like what we feel it's actually portraying. So, for example, like you would do like McDonald's, but you would say it's not. It's like portraying the idea of like, you know, like unhealthy, fat, whatever. So, like it's not a parody, but what it's doing is you're injecting a layer of truth into that. I like using like their iconography and their visual vocabulary, but making it like a political cartoon, more or less. So I was really into that for a long time. And there's a lot of ideas that are just sitting around in sketchbooks I've never pushed because, you know, it's like, all right, well, where does this go? So, and believe me, there's a lot of ideas just kind of sitting around, just festering right now. And as far as like other things, so yeah, there's like, I would like to do sequential work. I have, like we talked about this on probably the last podcast. I have at least half a dozen picture book ideas that are just kind of sitting around. You know, and I think now, especially, you know, being a father, a lot of my concepts of like storytelling watching Disney movies on repeat multiple times a day, every day of the week.
Yeah.
You grow an appreciation not only for the music. I mean, I can tell you why we don't talk about Bruno. No. I can tell you why, like, or whatever. But like, you watch these and you're like, well, besides like being like the callous, nihilistic, well, this is all for capitalist, corporate shill. It's like these are good stories because they're taking elements from like good stories and injecting them together. So I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I would like that because it's very easy to like, all right, I'm gonna do a children's book, and there's gonna be art involved or whatever. For me, it's the ego of I want a good story. I don't want just good art. I want a good story with good art.
Yeah.
Like there is, I don't know how familiar you were with Sean Tan. Sean Tan's one of those writer artists who does these really good picture books where really good stories, really good illustrations, and it's not just, this happens, and then the end of the book or whatever. It's everything kind of ties together really well.
Mm.
Or like, we're gonna learn about shapes, so this story is about shapes, and I don't want that easy way because that's to me that's not authentic to what I want to do. Like again, being selfish, I want to write it, draw it, paint it, whatever, and I want it to be good. And I think going back to like the whole thing about like what we're conversation today, it's like yes. I wanted to be about me, not about like, well, yeah, I took this story from this person, and like, no, I wanted to be like what I'm doing.
Right.
So like, where I am, like what I want to do this year, I don't really know because things kind of like fall into your lap. Because I can tell you, in 2020, when the world was ending, right, and all that other bullshit. I didn't expect to illustrate a book cover and an album cover.
Yeah.
Again, connections that I had made through podcasts and conventions. And then, last year, one of my colleagues in my district was like, hey, you're like the perfect guy to draw this book cover because you're the best artist in the district. I don't know how that sits in like the bar, like how high or low that is, depending on what your tastes are. But it's like, and again, to the normies out there, like that's amazing. Like you do this kind of shit. Like, I would like to do more of that, but also the fact that I can. I do want to say, right? I can't. I like look. When you work in education, you got to have a very pulled tongue and things. Yeah. But let me tell you right now, the fact is, my students, like we have like, because we're not really allowed to say boys and girls anymore.
Oh God. Yeah.
Which, well,
I get it.
It's, the whole. So I say, okay, humans, primates, mammals, carbon-based life forms, monsters, meat puppets, cogs in the machine, physical stardust beings,
vessels.
Vessels. I hadn't used it before. I'm going to use it now. Vessels.
Yeah.
So, like, some of the teachers, like, they'll play into that because, again, we can't really address our students as boys and girls because, gender fluidity and whatever. Yeah. As an 8-year-old, you fucking understand that? No, you don't. But I what do you understand? Again, like that's a very different discussion.
Yeah. It is.
It's a very different discussion. So I just go and I'm like, all right, vampires, werewolves, and aliens, but we're very human though. And they're like, no, we're very human. We don't want to scare everyone else, that we're vampires and werewolves and aliens. That we're humans. Oh, these kids. Well,
right. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
But this is what again,
listeners are like, what is happening?
They're like, what the fuck's going on? But it's like this is the reality. My kids eat it up. They're like, oh, are we? The kids are like, are we oxygen breathing meat bags? I'm like, yes, you are. I'm like, basically, it's what you. But they love it though because, and again, if this is for my teaching podcast, which will never happen because I'm just too upfront with everything. But and honestly, if you want to get into education, please do. We fucking need you. Like we need people like really bad. Subs, whatever. We like lunch aids. We need you. You have to
action.
Call to action. Like, hey, especially if you're New Jersey pays very well. But anyways,
this is your moment right here. This
is your moment to shine. I'm giving you a lot of insight here. So you have to believe what you say because a lot of teaching is acting. A lot of it is. You're selling students on algebra, on life science, why cursive writing is so important in 2022, and why 1 point perspective won't ruin your life.
Preach,
again,
brother.
Here this is the choir I'm preaching to, but exactly. But I mean, again, like you have to go in and present just like you, and again, you have to believe in it,
right.
And that's what a lot of teachers. They're force-fed, curriculum and blah blah blah. They don't really believe it or whatever. It's like, and then when you're telling a kid something that you don't fully believe, they smell bullshit and they know it, and they don't believe in you. My student, if I tell them I'm from fucking Mars, they believe it because I sell that I'm from Mars. So. This goes back to being a pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
It's kayfabe. Don't break kayfabe. You don't break that illusion.
Right.
So the kids ask me how old I am. I'm like, in human years? I'm like, well, in this meat cavity, I'm 38. But I mean, when it comes to the eons that I've lived in civilizations, it's eons. I can't remember. And they believe you because you sell it to them that way.
Yeah.
And that's, again, and I can't remember who said it. Actually, I do. My buddy Mike, sculptor, painter, he was doing this, the scene in the 80s. And he good friends with Frank Thorne, a lot of other artists. Perception is reality.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
that's what it is. Especially with artists, perception is reality. Again. You want to go back to the monetary, like to your pricing with like stuff. Gee, please sell your stuff for more money. You can get more for that. What you're selling for, but like perception is reality. You look at a lot of artists, like Jim Steranko. He's a good artist, but the perception that he like put these graphic elements, like he made himself bigger than what he is.
He's a showman.
Exactly. It's all it is. Showmanship.
That concept of perception is reality works with not just you presenting yourself to the outside world, works in your own mind as well.
Oh yeah.
Because if you work, if you work it out with yourself, that you tell yourself on a regular basis, I am good at this. I mean, any older people who used to watch Saturday Night Live, we might remember
that skit
character Stuart Smalley. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm smart enough, and gosh
darn it, people like me.
Exactly. And it sounds silly, but if you do an affirmation, it doesn't have to be as silly as that one. But if you do an affirmation daily, which is something that I could see that you might do, G. I think that because you, even if you don't specifically do that, you every day you treat your body. Well, for the most part, I would think that you treat your body like a temple, and you go out there and you work it, and with all your physical fitness routines and whatnot. That's probably part of what's going on in your mind. You I have to do this today, and I'm going to. Yeah. So know that's what the day consists of. So, and this is something that I, at my age, which is considerable, am just finally learning. Yeah. And
it takes a lot. It does take a lot of work.
It takes.
I also believe, piggybacking onto what you're saying, words have power, man. So when you're speaking towards yourself, you gotta remember, some of that shit might actually sink in more than you'll realize.
Yeah. Or again, as I've learned, from almost 20 years of working, with people, kids, teens, adults, say what you mean what you say. Because when I talk to my students and I tell them that I'm disappointed in them, I mean it. And my people know my tone changes, because I'll go from one class where we'll talk about, what's more important. What do you do? Milk and then cereal, or cereal and then milk? And let me tell you, if you say milk and then cereal, you're fucking wrong. That's besides the point, though. It's you do the cereal first, then you pour the milk.
Yeah.
If you disagree with me, fuck off and die. But
toilet paper, over or under? Over.
Exactly.
Of course.
Exactly.
What monster puts it under? The same guy that pours the milk before the cereal.
Here's another one. Do you wash your hands when you go to the public bathroom? Do you wash your hands before or after you pee?
Always after. Sometimes before.
So knowing you're touching a dirty door, getting into the bathroom, then touch your penis, you'd rather do that?
Never touch the door.
Yeah.
Okay. So assuming you're pushing it with your hand, but if you're doing it with your elbow or something, that is different. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I got it.
Good call on that one, though. That's good.
I'll give it to you, but no, yeah, you always. I mean, no matter the case, always afterwards. Before is slightly optional. Always after, though.
But then you got to hang on to the towel.
That's it. That's giving the.
Well, you want piss in your hands? Come on.
If you're getting pissed.
Or do you want shit in your hands?
That's up to the individual. I don't know how great the accuracy and how good they are at making sure everything is out. Because I don't care who you are, you're getting at least 1 or 2 drops in your pants after all the shaking. And come on, let's be honest.
Okay, all right, but
there's one hidden little.
I am so glad we got to the important issues in this 3 hours in. But
yeah. Or what if you're making a deposit, though? But besides the point, though, what the fuck were we talking about before? I forgot.
Well, initially I was asking, what are the next steps for you guys? We're all in different positions in our, in our art career, we have different goals. So just to see sort of where your head's at. I mean, they don't have to be solid goals, but just to see where your head's at, because it sounds like you're finding your footing.
But goals can change, though. Goals can rearrange. That's why you can't really say, well, I have, like, that's why I kind of, like, put out, like, let's do a bucket list. Bucket list can change,
Yeah, of course.
Because, like, I'll put out, like for me. So, and again, this is things like, before I put into a box underground eaten by maggots, what I would like to do as an artist, is like repay the things that I feel like made me want to create art. So like for me, all right, one, do an original Garfield piece for Paul's sake, for Jim Davis, because if it wasn't for Garfield, I would not pursue art.
Yeah.
Like Garfield was the driving force for me. The other thing, which I know for the both of you is going to sound fucking stupid as hell, but I'm going to say it anyway. I grew up in a fairly conservative Catholic household. Nothing wrong with that. If people have different strokes, different folks.
Mm-hmm.
There was Rickman. You probably know, like Focus on the Family, very very group. They had a whole series of VHS tapes called McGee and Me. Now you probably don't remember that. It was geared for like more kids my age, like under 40. So like now coupled with like My Fast Station with Garfield by Jim Davis. And again, I know Garfield has different connotations now, but as a kid, like he was still very somewhat edgy in like 80s, early 90s when I got into him. Now he's very just pedestrian and safe, but whatever. With McGee and Me, it was this Christian series where there was this kid who got into some trouble. He was an artist. He drew things. He drew a character named McGee who would get into like parallel situations, and then by course, grace of God, things were fixed. Whatever. The kid's name was Nick. My dumbass has an 8-year-old going, well, this kid Nick can draw. Well, I can draw. And I like Garfield. So those two things drove me to like get into art. With Garfield, it was more like telling that story to make you feel good. Because again, as you alluded to, Rickman, the world sucks these days. With the fucking the pandemic still going on, world leaders doing stupid shit, which is stupid shit. Break that all down. It's like, well, I can laugh at Garfield kicking Odie off the table, or whatever it was,
Yeah.
So like that's what got me to like, all right, let me draw Garfield. And again, I wholeheartedly believe in this. There is no such thing as like talent, it's skill.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely discussed that.
We have, but it's like to have to hear it though. Like,
no, I get it.
We're all.
I try to put that out there too. Like that's why I make sound bites to get these messages out there.
We are all pre-positioned, to gear ourselves for the arts, right? But like Rick, like you learn to draw and to paint, sculpt, but also to play scales on the guitar, pick the strings, know where to put your fingers on the fretboard, know where to put your hand, and all that. Like it's also a skill.
Yeah.
G and I has stupid as we are with music, we can learn the skills.
I mean, I've dabbled on guitar.
Shut up, Jim. Talking. Yes. we can learn those skills, whether it's like playing guitar, bass, drums, trumpet, harpsichord, whatever. Like,
What?
Shut up, Break. I'm
Say harpsichord?
Harpsichord. No,
like hardcore
not popsicle.
harping?
No, harpsichord. But
Hardcore harpsichord.
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse for harps. So
Okay, now I'm sorry. Continue.
But it's all skills that we can learn.
Yeah.
Right. And it's what you invest into it and what you get into it. So it's like
exactly.
So it was like for me, it was like, all right, comic strips. So it's Garfield, The Far Side, Calvin and Hobbes. That's my holy trinity right there. You know, then you get into like, oh, it's like the Family Circus and Foxtrot and like, you know, all these other comic strips that kind of come along the way. And it's like, oh, comic books. Now, you know, Marvel, DC, Image, DDP, blah, 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 blah. You know, like Rickman's, you know, cat porn thing, whatever the fuck, you know.
What are you talking about? That
we edited that out. Yeah,
that never happened.
That never happened. So there, you know, like
remember future.
Wait a minute.
Shit out.
You know, it's like you're like your manga, whatever. Like your interests kind of change, but like you're still doing the same thing. So I was like, yeah, I want to repay that. And like, of course, like being like a Godzilla fan, would love to do Godzilla art at some point, like official Godzilla art, not just like me drawing Godzilla, but like Toho says, we like you. Gotcha. Do the fucking candy bar design, where I will say, yes, may I have another. So, you know, like those things, or like I think we talk about like, you know, like doing something official with Marvel. Like I want to do Spider-Man because Spider-Man is like my favorite superhero. You know, whether that's a comic book cover, which that's what I would like, but it's, you know,
well, these are great. These are big goals without a doubt. But I'm even just scaling it down. Like I'm saying, right, for the sake of the listeners or the watchers, right, that they're like, all right, I'm gonna follow these guys. What can I look forward to at least this year or this? Well,
you know what?
It's scale it down. However,
no. Well, it's, you know, dream big and dare to fail.
Yeah.
That came from Metallica, Carpe Diem, baby. But it's like, yeah, dream big and dare to fail. Because again, what's like one thing? Like, we don't want to fail. We don't want to fuck up. We don't want to do things bad. We don't want to put our best foot before us. My Marvel Comics rejection letter is hanging up in my studio right now because, again, when you could have, you know, just kind of anonymously apply to Marvel, now you have to go through the whole fucking tribunal system to do that. Yeah. Here I am sending Joe Quesada my inking samples over myself, which you don't do, but of course I'm stupid and it's fucking 2003. I don't know, you know, like I just, you know, like it's the internet, but I didn't know how things worked. So I'm like, well, let me draw in different styles. That didn't work. But again, it's, you know, and I tell people this too. I knew going into, you know, this is 19 years ago. I knew I was getting rejected. I knew that. That wasn't a consideration. I put myself out there to do it because people, you know, they talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? And again, going back to the teaching and why I have a tiny bit more respect, you know, besides just being a giant asshole, because I talk the talk and I walk the walk. People know I can draw, I can sculpt, I can paint, I can print. They know I do conventions. They know they know that my pulse is on what's going on right now.
Right.
Because I'm putting myself out there. Mm. You know, I'm not relying on like, well, you know, this is what I did in college 20 years ago. And I'm, you know, we're just going to copy Van Gogh's Starry Night. Right. No, fuck you. I ain't doing that kind of shit. Like, I'm seeing what's out there right now. Of course, they pique my interest. Mm. So I tailor it to how I can make it my students' interests, like we're doing this thing, by one of my favorite artists, and they go along with it because I sell to them. Again, going back to like you putting on the show for them.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps you going. It's like, I want it again. I know, like, I don't peak. If an artist peaks, you fucking fail because artists never peak.
Right. Of course.
We're always learning.
Right. It's important.
We're always learning. And sometimes it's like, all right, I may feel like I've reached as high as I could in like penciling or whatever, or like realism.
Yeah.
Why would you abstract art? Or I'm doing abstract. Why would I do realism? Why would it symbolic art? Why I'm doing, or I'm doing sequentials? How can I make it different? What if I'm now changing the game? Right. I'm doing sequential art, but I'm not doing just rectangular panels. I'm doing different panels, or I'm doing painted panels, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that.
Right.
Or whatever the fuck it is. Like you have like your cyber non-topia narrative going on, right? So, which I'm still following, and I still hate you for it because you're grinding it out.
I mean,
and Rickman, I saw the comic. Fuck you, I hate you too because it looks good.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like, I'm going through it. I'm like, ow.
Well, I have the same goal as you in terms.
You've been holding it off, like Rick. You've been holding off on us.
I know.
Well, we're hold on. Yeah, Rick, man, don't feel left out because I'm going to bring you in a second. But I just want to say, like, I have the same goal as like doing a gallery exhibit. Like that's why I have the series. I'm building the series to do an exhibit. So that's what I mean. Like, yeah, of course you want to dream big, but there's nothing wrong with having small goals too. What is going on?
It's the circle jerk going on.
I'm trying to revert the energy back to you and trying to reflect, and you guys are making.
We're goofballs.
No,
we're dumbasses. Damn it. No, like what we're saying though is like, look, like that reciprocating energy. It's like that playfulness of like.
No, I get it.
I saw like the Rick Grant's comic. I'm like, man, I can't even do a fucking page, and it's like 9 pages of shit. It took me 5 years. I'm like, motherfucker, I got 10 years of stories I haven't even touched.
It did take me years. I got to be honest. You're asking what's in the future. I'm still finishing the work that I started in the past. You saw the comic book Sock when I put it out.
Yeah.
That book, I put that out in essentially 2018. I started it in 1998.
Yeah. So,
but what I'm getting at is, granted, I started it. I did the first couple of, I did the 6-page story in the beginning, and then revisited it back in like 2015. But what I would like to do, there are things that I would like to do. I don't paint as much as you guys. That is something that I intend. Well, I have intended, and I will put the intention out into the universe now, so I can't take it back. I do intend to paint in the coming months. That's something that I am going to try. I want desperately to do more comics. I would love to, we talked about the book that I did, Zach Meets the Zombie. That was intended to be a series.
Right.
The reason that it didn't go forward is because the Kickstarter that was it a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo? I forget. But when we started the campaign for the second one, the people that I was with that wanted to publish it wanted way too much money. And I told them, no, you can't ask for, I think they wanted $15,000. I'm like, no, I barely made the $5,000 it took to do the first one. So let's just say, but whatever, it failed. And so I never revisited it. I have a lot of it done. I wanted to do the second book in the series. what do I want to do? That's that stuff. What will I wind up doing? The fuck knows. I will do. I mean,
right.
What you see in my Instagram, what you see in my social media, often is insofar as artwork is concerned, you do see a lot of life drawing. And I will be continuing to do life drawing. I love to do that. I run a session every week, and I love doing that. So I will continue to show that work. I would, like Nick was saying, I'd love to do a gallery show. Yeah. What the fuck do I do a gallery show on? People look at me, anybody that knows me and knows my artwork, it's like, you should do comics. I'm like, yeah, I will, but, and, so I have a lot of ideas. But like you guys, I'm sure you have 6 ideas a day. And if, if I don't write them down, 5 of them are lost. So what will I wind up doing? There are a handful of things that I will do.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, like doing a gallery show, because the studio that I used to work at has a front gallery, and I asked the owner, I'm like, I want to do a gallery show, and she replied well, that's nice. Like, you have to have so many pieces, and it has to have a theme to it, and it has to also have some kind of buzz.
But that's yeah.
But I mean, again, buzz is a very that fluctuates.
Well, they want to know that you're going to bring people in.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's, and again, with a gallery, again, for those that don't know, they take a cut of your sales.
Yeah.
So it's anywhere between some are like, oh, we'll give you 25 to 50% of your sales. So, that's kind of the.
Is that's how it is now today? It's always
again, it depends on the gallery.
I'm sure it might be a little different at other places.
Again, it depends on the gallery. Some are they'll have their percentages.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they definitely have to make sure that you can, bring enough heads in to the exhibit, fill up all the space that they're going to provide. That you have pieces.
Depending how big the gallery is and what they do, the foot traffic, they're whatever, it's a gamble. So
that's why I went the direction I'm going right now. That's why I have this tech stuff.
It's a very weird thing too, because I know it's way too late, and
who's to say it's too late?
Motherfucker, I'm usually in bed by now.
You're talking about this. I thought you were talking about the goal setting and.
No. I'm talking it's time 10:35. I'm usually sleeping by now.
No, I get it. Well, same here, dude. I'll probably be getting.
The one thing, and again, there's a whole other can of worms. And okay, I'm too stupid to know what it is, but it's the youngins, even younger than you, G. They're talking about NFTs. I don't know what the fuck they are.
I didn't even want to get.
I hear again. There are so many different sides of yes and no. It's
NFTs are a goddamn scam. It's the same thing as cryptocurrency. It's all a fucking scam.
Yeah.
I've heard I heard that, and it's it's also there's the other side where you're getting a lot of artists from the 70s from DC making millions of dollars off their drawing. No. I just
artists, and I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but
go ahead. I don't know what it is.
NFTs don't make artists money. You will, if you sell an NFT for $500, you literally will walk away with $50 at most. I am not kidding you. It's a scam scheme to get artists to make money for someone else. Don't fucking do it. It's ridiculous.
I can't do it because I don't know what the fuck it is.
I don't know what it is.
I know what it is, and I fucking hate it.
because
I mean, I know how it works, but I don't know actually how to.
I'm just so like in that sense, like tech retarded. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm like, so you have a digital copy of an artwork that you own, but other people can copy. Like, no, I don't buy that. Like, here's
in a nutshell. There is a JPEG in the world or whatever GIF that is registered to you. Everyone else in the world can own it. Everyone everywhere can own it. But you're the only one that has the right to own it. Who fucking cares?
That to me, because the only reason why I was like really like interested a few months ago, I was reading on I think the Wall Street Journal about like the NFTs and like these like teenagers, 15, 16-year-old kids, multimillionaires off their work. And I'm looking at the work. I'm like, it's not really that good, but again, like we are a whole different generation. Like these kids, like it's a whole different game. But I'm looking at it going, I don't understand. Like, it's one thing if like, okay, so if Rick, you commission me, to do a sock cover, right? I own the rights to the image, and we work out a deal where it's all right. It's your IP, my work. We can work out a deal like I can make prints, but but minus the logo.
But that's what work for hire is. So
exactly. But it's like okay, but it's like that whole idea, or like, gee, like you can hire Rick to do a cyberpunk image in your own world or whatever. You own you work out a deal where like okay, Rick is the artist. He owns the rights to the artwork, but you own the IP. You can market the fuck out of it, but Rick has the rights to the original work. He can still do prints of it, minus the whole connection to your work, right? NFTs, I'm like, I don't understand this shit. To me, it just seems so stupid. It's
just digital real estate shit.
Well, and it really is. It's a number, a really fucking long number that exists somewhere that for some fucking reason exists in the world and takes up so much energy that you could power Austin for a month. Why? There's no reason for this shit. And they're like, oh, we're working our way out to use less energy to create the NFTs. Fuck you. Stop making them. Stop destroying the fucking world for your goddamn ego stroking. Sorry.
Yeah. I just don't understand enough about it. I know it's like, I know like blockchain technology is like, it is like the wave of the future. Is it though? I don't know.
I'm going to tell you at some point, the world market is going to shut cryptocurrency down because they can't control it. They just don't know how to do it yet. As soon as they figure it out, it is shut down, and whatever money you have put into crypto is gone. NFTs included. Not kidding, just saying.
Oh, man.
Fuck the crypto bros.
I just don't know enough. I honestly, I just don't know I don't know enough about it. I can't even talk about Bruno, and I'm talking about like crypto.
I don't even know about Bruno.
We don't talk about crypto.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't even
talk about crypto. I'm just so intrigued by all this kind of stuff going on, and again, I know this. I'm an asshole. I don't give a fuck at this point, But it's like there's all these different things going on in the Twitter world where it's like, I mean, Rick, you probably know more about this than I do. It's like Comicsgate. I don't know what the fuck. I kind of know what it is. I don't know what it is. I see both sides of it. And I'm like, you're both just stupid assholes. Just make comics. Just make comics.
No.
I don't know what this is.
Comicsgate. I'm going to boil this down into a handful of words. And you know what? Rickman at Rickman Art. Go right ahead. So Comicsgate is a bunch of fucking assholes that don't want women or any other type of representation, gay, ethnicity, any other ethnicities. They're straight white men that want the comic book industry to themselves. You can go fuck yourself. You can go fuck yourself so hard, you fucking assholes. And that's what Comicsgate is. Gamersgate, same deal. Fuck off, Gamergates.
Make sure you make a soundbite out of this. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Women, gay, lesbian, LGBTQIA plus people, everybody, any ethnicity, everybody belongs in comics. Comics are everybody's medium. Right. This is for everyone. Anyone can play a game. Everyone should be able to do this. You don't own it because you're white. Holy shit!
Wait, but how did this?
I'm
so out of the loop.
So am I, but I get on it and I'm like
2.5 hours in, and we're in this.
But I'm also
crazy topic right now.
But part of it, I look at it and I'm like, well, it's also like, okay, so there's like that, but it's like, are they good stories though? That's
what I'm getting.
I'm seeing both sides of it. I'm like, okay, so it's like this representation. No problem with that.
All it is. Literally, if you want to boil it down to a very simple explanation, it's a bunch of white guys, white men that want to hold the comic book industry in their tiny little penis-fingered hand.
Okay.
And that's what they, comics in one hand and their dick in their other hand, because that's what they're doing.
I look at it and I'm like, I see both sides just wasting so much energy on it. I'm like, just fucking tell good stories and good art. And I haven't pulled comics in fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I see the stuff. I'm like, I'll be honest. The two big artists or like players to see is like Bart Brooks and Ethan Van Sciver. I never liked Ethan Van Sciver's art. I like Mark Brooks' art a lot more. But I see both just kind of bitching like little fucking kids about the same shit. I'm like, get the fuck off of Twitter and just make comics. Fuck the politics.
Ethan Van Sciver is a fascist.
I don't even bother with Twitter.
I try. I try not. I really don't. And I look at it. I'm like, I don't have
consumption.
I'm like, I don't bother with the energy with this. Of like,
don't bother with it, man. Fuck that.
I try. I don't. I look at it and I'm like, oh my, you guys. I'm like, you're fighting over fucking fictitious people in their underwear fighting each other.
Yes.
I have a Twitter.
It comes down to it. I'm like, look, both of you are fucking stupid for arguing over fictitious people, idolize male and female with six packs and boobs and shit. And like, end of the day, they're both male and female power fantasies.
Well,
get the fuck over it and move on. Well, just tell me good stories. If you have a message, just don't fucking smack it on me. Because again, I'm in a field where it's very political.
Yeah.
Being a teacher, it's all politics. And again, being in New Jersey, but again, being in New Jersey, like being where we are, I'm smacked all the and a union rep. I'm smacked all the time with politics. I want to tell you right now, nobody fucking cares about you. I don't care what your letter is next to you, what you believe for. They don't fucking care about you. it's all about this and about power.
Of course.
And like with Comicsgate, I look at it because I'm like, what the fuck is it? Like, why are we arguing over fucking Superman being gay or Spider-Man being black?
Money.
It's all about this. It's all about making money. And it's like legacy characters. I'm like, look, end of the day.
It's always the money. Even with the healthcare system, my wife says it's always about the money.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, look, it's like in where I work, it's a very, like where I am, very, very dark blue, dark blue. And they argue and they hate us as teachers.
Wait,
they hate us.
You said blue.
Dark. Absolutely.
Meaning
very. Let me break this down for you.
Oof.
They fucking hate us. Because
why do Democrats hate you?
Because of money?
Money.
I could see Republicans hating you.
No. Let me again.
I don't know.
Let me break this down for you because
are we going in the wrong direction, G?
Yeah, I have no say in this. Like, I don't pay attention to this stuff.
Well, again, because I live this every day.
No, I get it. No, I understand, but I'm just saying I step out of these conversations because
again, it's one of those things where it's like you're like the actual being woke. You see what both sides do.
Yeah, of course.
And and let me tell you right now. It's all about power. They don't, because again, we're New Jersey, we're blue. Where I am, we're very blue. Mm-hmm. And my board hates me being a teacher. Mm. So again, you're like the narrative that like everything constructs around you, fuck it. It's not true. Because again, when this pandemic started, we got our 10, maybe 15 minutes of fame. Mm. And it's like, oh, fuck you, go back to work because my kid has to go and I have to work.
No, yeah. I mean.
So again, when you're in this bubble of like, I watch the things and I see the things on Twitter and whatever. And like, no, that's not reality. That's extreme of one side, the extreme of the other side yelling at each other.
Yeah.
I teach everyone, regardless of where they are or their parents are.
Even what you said earlier, when you were talking about referring to your kids as humans or aliens or whatever, that's what, at least where your Comicsgate lies, is in the representation. And it's the representation of like saying that the future Superman is bisexual.
Isn't he a gay black man?
Robin decides.
Like I don't give a fuck what they are. I
understand what you're saying. But
I don't care.
What I'm saying is that's what comics gators are. They're closing the gate so that.
So like you can't get in. I get it.
There are people that that they don't want represented. They don't want.
Which to me doesn't make sense. Which again, like to me, it's like, wait a minute. You don't want women in this? You don't want women in this? What the fuck?
There you go.
Like that's where like
I grew up with comics that women weren't there because they didn't want to be there.
That's right.
Now they want to be there.
That's right. So I look at like that side and like, you're just fucking stupid.
I would have loved comic book convention to have women that actually wanted to be there.
Right. So like the fact that like I can talk to like young like girls, females who are like they're excited about the Marvel movies. I'm like, you wanted this 25 years ago. Shut the fuck up. And then there's like, but then there's like that other side, which again, gatekeep in their own way of like, well, you have to fit this mold or we don't accept you. I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't know. All right. So I'm not going to say that doesn't exist. But in a world where inclusion is unfortunately a fairly new concept, I'm somebody that when I grew up, as a little nerd, okay, as a little geek, a little fat kid that didn't really play sports and that sat and drew all the time, I didn't feel included. I never saw myself in a comic book or in a movie or TV show. I never saw myself anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I felt this. I felt that, I wish I could have been included. Jack Black didn't exist. He's younger than me. And so is Kevin Smith, both of whom stole my look. Regardless. I
think having said that, I used to have that look too.
I know.
At one point. I had your look too.
Those of us that, and you stole it from me too. But anyway, those of us that no. So what I'm getting at is never saw myself represented. And then, later on in life, I started seeing this representation like Kevin Smith and Jack Black. And I understand.
Right.
Like someone of color that has not seen, like the superheroes that he gets are, or he or she or they get is Black Lightning. And it's like,
right.
These days, Black Lightning's fucking cool, but he wasn't cool.
Oh, yeah.
Day.
So
he had to be called Black Lightning or Black, what was his name? Black Vulcan or Black Manta. Why is,
why? Well, also, why is it like Red Robin or Green Lantern? You argue the same thing to a degree. But also, keep in mind, too, like, I grew up, it was very mixed, like, racially, ethnically. So, like, we had, like, if you grew up in a more time where it was more homogenous, where like you grew up more with along your more, like culture or whatever, it's different. For me, like growing up where I was, we were all mixed. It didn't matter.
Well,
like,
same with me because I'm I currently. I live near Newark and I grew up in a town near Newark, so I've always been. And
we always made fun of each other, like that's how, like, again, we grew up in a very different time where like you could do those kind of things and it wasn't like we weren't demonizing you. We're like, oh, that's how it was. It was just like, oh, we're saying this, like, oh, you can call me this, you can call you that, like, all right, we're still friends at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it was very different.
Of course,
like
it was very different. Whereas like now everything's so hyper, politicized and everything's so hypersensitive and everything's so out there.
There's so much exposure. There's so much.
That's what it is too. I mean, I can only imagine. Yeah. I mean, Rick, if we had what we have now in the fucking 80s and 90s, holy shit, things would be very different now.
Oh, very, very
different. Like we grew up in this very different times. So it's like,
of course.
So again, like, for me, as someone who interacts with the community, where you're going to have people who are, again, very left and also very right. You got to deal with those people equally, fairly, because again, it's like, well, you may not agree with them where they stand, but it's like, I can't. What am I going to do? Fail you because you support this person, that person, and that's where like where I'm coming from again, where you could be in a bubble and you can say like, well, I identify with like this tribe and this people, and I agree with this. I interact with the whole community, and that community, their culture is very different from what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I have to like realize, okay, what they're used to is very different from what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And that's something where like you have to, again, when you're teaching, you adapt to wherever you're from. And again, I teach right where the town I grew up in, but I grew up in a different part of town where it was much more heterogeneous, where I'm teaching much homogenous. So it's very different. So I can't be that quick to just slap people with judgment and be like, well, fuck you, you're wrong, and fuck you, you're wrong, except for the cereal thing. Well, fuck you. Cereal first, then milk. If you're milk and cereal, you're wrong. But that's not the point, though.
We all agree on that. What I'm saying is the standpoint, and you're absolutely right. I get the concept of right and left really being motivated by the money and the power, but right. I guess my motivation is it comes from a more human.
Right. Yeah, you are much more humanistic.
All humans should be treated equal, and regardless of where they're from, what color they are, what sexual proclivity they have. I mean, I don't care. I don't think that you're wrong. When I think you're wrong is when you don't include someone, or whether you're closing the gate on somebody,
right? Just because of that reason, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because if you're excluding somebody because they're an asshole and they've hurt people, you go right on doing it. But if you're excluding someone because they don't wear the right color shirts, I mean that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's like I see it. Like I said, like I see it, and I'm like I understand it, but I don't at the same time. Because I'm like again, I look at it from a different. And G's like, oh god, this is like just killing my view. It's killing my views. They're talking like heavy shit. But G's like, oh god, I'm cutting like this interview out.
I'm trying to take it all in. That's all.
But it's like because again, like. Because I'm looking at it again, like as someone who interacts with a lot of people on a regular basis.
No, I get it. Yeah,
well, they're coming from all over the place. I'm like, okay, so how can I approach it in a way where it's, like funnels it down to like, well, you're all just fucking meat puppets anyway. I'm like, oh, like the kids love it. They're like, oh, we meat puppets, and I'm like, yes, you are. You're like, yeah, you're just, physical, stardust or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, this is fun. Because again, like it's a fun thing for them to kind of interact with, or like I said before, it's like like one teacher said that they're a werewolf, one said they're a vampire. I'm like, well, I'm an alien, but we gotta blend in with the humans. So I'm like, so the normies don't know that, like, like we're all. And the kids all think that it's like all special to them. Like, I don't do the same shit to everyone. I'm like, yeah, like just keep it normal to the normal people out there. But I'm like at the end of the day, it's like they're fictional characters. Like this whole Comicsgate bullshit. I'm looking at it. I'm like, for me, I'm like, I can't be too invested in it because I'm not invested in it enough.
Well, if you're not in comics anymore, I mean,
right? That's what it is. I'm like, I'm not in enough to be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah. I just see what's going on from both sides. I'm like, you have a point, you have a point, you have a point, you have a point, but it's a draw at the end of the day because I'm like, for me, if I'm in comics, do you know what I'm not doing? Fucking go on Twitter and tweeting about shit. I'm drawing comics.
You're working.
I'm working. Right? Exactly. I'm fucking working at the end of the day. I don't
the drawing board.
I'm like, look, I know like all three of us have very different political leanings. Do I care? No, I don't. That's fine. I don't give a shit. Because again, I deal with people in my own job that are all aligned different ways. Am I going to shut one of them out because they don't like me? No, I don't. I like to hear different viewpoints because that's who I am as a person. I like hearing different viewpoints. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. Not so much there. Okay, that's fine there.
Yeah.
I'm not agree with it, but okay, I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
So again, I like seeing those different points of view because that challenges me to like, okay, so.
And I try to emulate that on the podcast. If we all have challenging thoughts, like whatever, just why not voice it?
Yeah, because again, at the end of the day, I'm like, do I wish death on anyone? No,
of course not.
Or it's like extreme positions. I'm like honestly, get the fuck off of Twitter, get laid, smoke a bowl, have watch some entertainment, get for older.
I will say, man, you don't hear often many angry stoners.
No, you don't. But again, it's like it's one of those things where it's like
you just sit back and watch.
Yeah, it's like look, go read a book, read a comic book, go draw, go paint, go sculpt, go watch a movie. Like whatever. Go cook, go play music, whatever you do. Get the energy out because it's not doing you any good. Going on Twitter and yelling at someone you don't know about your privilege or rights. I'm like, again,
how did Twitter
what do people know about you? It's like the same thing. It's like, I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up fucking rich. Did any of you grow up rich?
Well, wait, how did Twitter come up though? Because I don't use Twitter.
Because it's like the comments gate's all on Twitter.
It's like game, okay.
It's all comic.
I don't plan on it. I know how toxic it is.
It's all comic. It's all comic artists and creators yelling at each other. Like,
well, that part of it, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
in general, is a toxic wasteland.
Yeah. God,
forget about it.
I don't know. I should just cancel Twitter. I'm like,
just don't go on it. Just don't go on it.
I try not to. But every once in a while,
take it off your phone. Just delete it off your phone.
I try, but it's like some artists I follow on Instagram are not on. I'm like,
so you gotta pick and choose your battles.
I welcome the fight. Anybody wants to come on, bring it on.
I get Rickman's calling people out. What happened to this podcast?
I know, but here's like the good thing about all this though. Like we go back to the arguing whatever of the whatever side you sit on. Like so like we all know JP or like Rickman. Like we don't like JP's.
We love JP.
Yeah. We love JP. We know where JP. We know where he stands on a lot of things.
We know where he stands, but you know what? At the same time, we also know that he's an intelligent man.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? He's not stupid, and he has his reasons for being where he is politically. So
exactly,
I love him. He's never done anything
right,
in my opinion, that's wrong. So,
exactly. Like, and we all know where he lies.
Right.
But it's like,
well, we're still friends.
I mean,
we're still friends. Yeah. But the thing is, like, this is where, like, I think we lose like the discourse.
Yeah.
We can have intelligent discussions.
Well, I'm only laughing because I've been vocal about certain things, and I'm pretty
right. Like, because, like, again, like
following moving forward. So I'm like,
but again, you go back to like okay. To like you like the whole like we go back to like whatever like what the support whatever of like of certain podcasters with initials of JR, which hey.
Oh well, I mean, not even. I mean, well, I guess that too, but just even minus that guy.
But Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about even just on my own.
Well, here's the thing. It's a comedy entertainment podcast. If you're taking medical advice for Joe Rogan, you're fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, there's like...
He talks about aliens and shit.
Yeah,
it's like...
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, if you look at the whole, like, his whole history of podcasts, where, like, he'll fully admit he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
He doesn't know what side of anything he's on. And as soon as somebody says something, he agrees with them. And then as soon as somebody else says something different, he's like, oh, I agree with that too. It's like, dude, whose dick are you sucking right now? Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
All of them.
Because like sometimes I'm like that too. So I mean,
his mouth is full.
But he is also, again, as I say before, he's an entertainment podcast. If you're listening to him for like health advice,
right? Exactly.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Right?
We all know what he's a he's like. He's a fucking comedian.
Yeah,
talking to people.
He's an idiot.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like
he's a paid idiot, but again.
He
can fuck all of us up.
Look,
again,
I get what you're saying, but my point is, like, I didn't even have to bring him up. Like we dove hard into the paint about Joe Rogan. Like, I mean, I wasn't even trying to
No, he has some good guesses.
No, I get it, but I'm saying,
but yes, sometimes he will pander to the guests. Absolutely.
No, I get.
But at the same time, it's like he's a fucking comedian.
Yeah.
So take his guess, whatever he's doing, with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And people aren't doing that. It's fucking gospel. Like, it's fucking Joe Rogan.
Right, but he
did news radio, and he did judo fights.
Yeah, he's acting.
Can he beat all? Can he fuck all us up in the fight? Yes, he can.
Well, of course, yeah. But like this is like way.
He makes people eat bugs too. Well,
this is way past my point though, because I like my. I mean, now I'm like kind of losing track of what the point I was making. Because
I don't know. Whatever. We're fucking just talking.
Just expressing our views. I'm just saying I've been vocal about my own views and trying to be sort of neutral, and that I feel that's affected my following. If so, I'm just saying. So because you mentioned something, and I'm like, yeah, like. I've done that. I've been vocal about stuff, and that.
But at least again, you go back to all right. So Joe Rogan, whatever.
Yeah, we didn't have to get into the Joe Rogan thing.
We're not. I'm not. But it's like, again. Here's the thing. When he fucks up, he's like, all right, I fucked up really bad. Go to CNN or whatever, like the corporate media, Fox News, MSNBC. See how many times they say that. Oh yeah, we fucked up on this. Yeah. My bad. They won't do that.
No, of course not.
A fucking comedian, a stupid ass who makes jokes for a living will be like, no, I fucked up. I'm like, no, your job is to be a fucking comedian. Make jokes. If they're wrong, I won't laugh at them.
But here's the thing, right?
It's all
people lose the sight of that.
Yes, it's because now it's the culture war, and he's a punching bag. We get that.
It's now,
and sometimes he's got bad takes.
Well, we all know how many eyes are on him now, right?
Now,
we have to remember. Yes, this was never expected, not even for himself. Like he said,
But when he was with Red Band talking about fucking alien invasions and fucking like anal probes and weed, no one cared. Yeah. No one cared. But now all of a sudden, that Spotify, $100 million deals. Oh, now we're paying attention. Like he's a fucking comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Daddy duty. Daddy duty.
Yeah, daddy duty. Hold on.
Rickman.
Yes.
How did we end up in this?
Well, because I know why, and I'm probably to blame, and I apologize if that's the case.
Damn it, Rickman! No,
because I damn you.
Also, I guess to clarify, because this is something that I'm working on, is being mindful of we may have an audience listening, so I'm clarifying for the audience, we're not arguing here. We're just fucking.
Oh no, not at all. We each have opinions, and I guess it was.
But it's getting passionate. I can feel it. The energy is rising.
That's what I was getting at.
It is a little bit.
It was a chord where, when we talk about something like Comicsgate, it strikes a chord in me because of the fact that I understand.
Right, you know more about it than we do.
Well, I know more about it because I see it more. I'm more connected to a comic community.
So I respect that. It came out of the blue for me because like I don't follow comics I would imagine I don't follow comics. So like the whole Comicsgate was new to me, and I wrote it down because like if we do this again a month from now, we could always revisit and kind of you can educate me and the audience on it because like
right
going back to like trying to remember like you may have listeners here.
I just find a comic book artist to fuck themselves. I'm down.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of like I'm just trying to imagine the demographic of the audience that may be listening, right? Like they might just be like me and have no fucking clue what we're talking about, or they might.
I don't fucking know what the hell is going on. I'm like,
I guess I'm just saying a little heads up would have been.
Yeah, would have been. It's for those things.
We don't know. We're having a fucking conversation.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, I don't know what comics.
No, it was just a very. It was a heavy topic on a close.
It's a very heavy
climate.
Where Rickman is in the thick of it. I'm like, I kind of see it. I don't really see it because I'm also like more concerned about other things. I'm like, but again, me personally, I look at what both again because where I am, I see both sides of it. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Yeah,
what are both sides trying to accomplish? I'm like, here's my thing. Shut the fuck up and just make good comics. Because, again, I see why, like, the Comicsgate side is complaining. Well, you're just making these token characters that just appeal to this demographic, and that's all they're doing. And they're just, okay, we're just ticking boxes. But then again, like, all right. So now look at the other side. I'm like, okay, so we're just shutting out this whole other side of humanity, and we're ignoring them. Like, can we just make our own thing in the middle here where it just appeals to everyone? And again, I know it's a very like, well, it's a milquetoast kind of feel. Like most people just don't want to deal with that kind of shit of like, well, because again, from where I am, most people don't lean heavy one way or heavy the other. They're like,
most of the world is like that. Especially when you're talking about the U.S. and you're talking about, who's blue and who's red. Most everybody lands somewhere closer to the middle.
But it's like, but if you listen to Twitter, it's like, well, you're either very heavy blue or heavy red. And I'm like, oh. No, you're the outcast. Just go to your corners, take a timeout for 10 minutes. Let the adults talk for a little bit, And
usually the ones that are causing the trouble are the vocal minority.
Yeah, and again, the vocal minorities, and again, it's most people want to say it's both. It's like it's like you. In the red corner.
You go to your corner.
You shut the fuck up. You the blue corner. You shut the fuck up either. Like, I'm tired of you. Like, we're done. Like, you're done controlling our narrative. Let's come back to more and like, okay, we take these values from here and these values from here. All right, let's go from here. But again, that's not the case right now, and that's going back to 26 15 16 with how that worked out, which did not work out very well for for anyone. I would argue it even goes back even further to that, to 2000 2001, but I'm an art teacher. I don't know anything. I'm like, colors, shapes, yeah, well, pretty, primary colors and all that.
Everything is based on a circle, triangle, or square.
Which
anyone that's listening that may be an art teacher, leave a comment. Like and subscribe.
If you heard a t-shirt, this guy's talking, I'm not listening to him right now.
No, I'm just saying. We might have an audience listening. It might be like, hey, I resonate.
If you want to revisit that, comics topic and inclusion.
We should all research that.
I'm all in.
Rickman's all in he's all in that.
We can if it's something
Rickman's very passionate about it. I was
something that we can spread around. And
I just see enough. I don't know what people are talking about. I'm like,
and if you want to get my ire up, we could always talk about the Justice League Snyder cut.
Oh Jesus! I
didn't particularly like it.
I didn't either.
Oh no, you didn't?
No, I didn't like the. I didn't
really?
I didn't like the other one. I didn't like the other one either.
Maybe it was a piece of fucking celluloid shit.
I feel we could do that for another episode, but I feel
we could do that for 9 episodes. That would be a mini series. I mean, we could go minute by minute on that piece of fucking shit, and then we can do a special episode on the release that they did right after, which was Justice is Gray, and they made it all black and white because that's what you do. Sorry. There are things that I'm passionate about. Some of them make sense. Some of them do not.
Yo, honestly, and you know what? Maybe
let's talk about. You know what? Justice League's next one we're talking about.
No, but I do want to dive into stuff that we really follow and keep up with, because the stuff I follow and I get obsessive over is it's just not with the mainstream as much.
Like Naruto.
No, people, whatever everyone is geeking over out these days.
Is Naruto a big deal right now? I'm just
saying, while people are watching the Book of Boba Fett or something, I'm watching interviews with Jackie Chan.
I get it.
I'm watching, Encanto.
I'm nerding over
a week.
I'm nerding over other shit than I don't know. It's just funny.
You know what I watched this afternoon?
What?
Reruns of Match Game 75.
Let me tell you, G. Draper is a fucking genius. I love Match Game. Let me tell you, you, me, and Johnny Boy Hamid have to do a Match Game podcast. John and I used to watch Match Game.
We'd have.
Oh my God!
You have no idea. It would be us.
It would be
people in the 90s.
G's I don't know what talking. No.
G's what the fuck is Match Game?
Yeah, fuck you.
I tried, guys. Look,
Match Game. Yeah,
I tried to hang as
all right. So Rick, let me ask you, who were the guests on Match Game?
Oh, Brett Summers.
Okay. Yep.
Gary Oldoff. It was a Gary episode. Gary took over for a little while after Charles was out for a few.
Charles Nelson Riley.
I don't know why we haven't gotten to the Charles Nelson Riley episode.
Game show.
I know, right?
What the hell is happening here?
Okay, go on. G, shut up. Shut the fuck up, G. You're done.
Ricky Dawson, of course.
Oh, Dickie Dawson. Yes.
Yeah, he's in there the whole time. Although I did see an episode, and check this out, and you'll understand this, an early episode that wasn't ever aired or something, where Richard was on the top row.
No. Oh, right? Yes. No, he should be the bottom.
He's always bottom middle. I'm why is Richard up at the top?
No, he should be the bottom middle. That's wrong. Very wrong.
I am so happy that this devolved into Match Game 75 talk.
I fucking love Match Game.
This just turned into a 70s trivia game.
Gee, shut the fuck up. You're done.
Ask me a question. I always try to answer the questions too, but I got to go. Wait. This was
exactly the 70s. Yes. Exactly. That answer the way it was in the 70s. Because, again, you're like, because you know how you answered it today? I'm like, no, they're answered differently in 1975 than you were in 2002.
Oh, yeah, they say stuff, and the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm like, no.
Leave a comment.
Yeah. Sorry, G. Back to you, G.
I'm just telling the audience to leave a comment if they know 70s trivia.
It's a very small.
Man, boy, do I have a lot of reviewing
with Fanny Flag? Dude, Fanny Flag in it.
Fanny Flag was Marsha. I forgot her last name. She was on Bob Newhart.
Oh God,
she was a receptionist.
But I tell you, Betty White was many times on Match Game.
Betty White,
that's what
amazing. She was always. And you know what's weird, and you see it now. The misogyny was just over the top. Gene Rayburn would kiss every
my God,
on the fucking lips.
Well, no, not just him. Richard Dawson too.
True, Richard. Yes, no, Richard.
And everyone. And let me tell you again. You go back to and it was like Match Game episodes with. Oh God, there was. So that's with Trono and Nelson Riley. How so offensive they were. But everyone's like, well, fuck it, whatever. We don't care because we got Nipsey Russell, and we're just cracking race jokes too. And Nipsey's like, yeah, fuck you, cracker. It's like,
and the language oh my God, I gotta say, Nick, I love you. But I love you so much more now that we've bonded over match.
We gotta wait. All right, Match Game podcast. We gotta get you, me. I gotta get John.
It was born here. It was born.
We gotta do Match Game podcast. Yeah, we have to.
I'm pretty sure I called this shit last time. I was like, you guys could fucking do something on your own. I'm glad I'm able.
I would love it if the Match Game podcast was.
We got to do it. We got to do a Match Game podcast. We have to. we have to. Now we can't back out of it, Rickman.
I know, right? It's out there. It'd
be a little tough though because if you're doing it virtually, you got to consider the delay. You got to consider the delay. Almost. Trust. Yeah.
There's a 40 some odd year delay.
What are you talking about?
It was a 70s show, so the delay is huge.
Yeah.
What in the? I might be too high for that shit.
G's like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Now, again, respect. Did not call you by your government name for this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I did notice the last time we did a podcast, I called you by your government name, you bleeped me out.
For the
yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, the government name's not cool. I gotta call you by the actual name. You realize I haven't said your actual government name.
I did that for fun. If it happens, it happens. I did that for fun. No, because my friend, my best friend that's on here a lot, she usually addresses me by my full name, but that's I have my childhood friends and family, the ones that know me as they have a free pass. Yeah. But anyone that knows me that is introduced to me as G, So, obviously you guys know my full name because I trust you and I'm close with you, but to be able to address
he still bleeped us out though.
You guys don't know my name.
Huh?
You guys don't know my name.
No.
You're a mystery.
I am a mystery wrapped in.
You're a mystery wrapped in England, but yeah. So we don't know your actual government name. I have an idea of them. That's not what it is though.
That's pretty badass. I like that.
It is.
Well, that's nobody. No one would remember my last name anyway. So, and it's funny that some people like you, Nick, and I love it. You still call me Rickman as if that's my last name. And it's not. And I love it.
I know. Because I know it's something else. It's
one of my other friends used to do that. and I never said anything. And then one day she says Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh, so you are saying my name right for you. I'm like, okay, Spider-Man. He's not Jewish. I mean, actually, he might be. Aunt May, I think, was Jewish.
I mean, those bagels, we don't know.
You never know. Those wheat cakes.
Oh. Oh my God! All right,
and I'm gonna admit something here.
Oh,
I have not seen Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I know.
No spoilers. What's that?
I have not seen any of the Disney Spider-Man movies. So
okay.
Whatever.
Oh. I haven't seen it simply because, pandemic, and I got to be honest with you. I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting in an ergonomic chair, so my back isn't killing me. Besides, I'm on like significant chemicals. But the chairs in a movie theater, I can't even bother.
Yeah,
like it's even funny to my mom's like, have you seen the Eternals? I'm like, no, Mom. You gotta see it. I'm like, no, Mom. Why not? Mom, I work 6 days a week. I don't feel like watching the fucking Eternals right now. Do
you have HBO Max though?
Yes, but I just don't feel like watching.
I actually still enjoy going out though.
It's a long, exactly.
It's a long movie.
Like my coworker bullied me into watching WandaVision. Like, all right.
That was good.
I thought that
was till I got to the Sky meme battle. I'm like, okay, now we're in a Sky. Like, but the first 6 episodes, I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool. This is amazing. And you know what's funny too? My comic book, nerd friends are like, I don't see this. Like, it's the fucking multiverse. Do you not see this happening? Like, spoilers. Last episode, I'm like, this is the fucking multiverse. How do you not know this? Are you that fucking dense?
I've loved the television. I've loved the Marvel television up to this.
I haven't watched anything else besides WandaVision.
I'm so looking forward to Moon Knight. Oh my God.
Hold on.
I mean, I remember
we should save this.
When the end.
You know what? You're right. All right. This is.
We're wrapping up now.
Two things before we bring this home. All right. So what are we doing? Are we doing this every month, every other month? What is this a regular thing?
I have a
pitching hour
every month. I vote every month.
I'm good every month.
Every end of the month, every end of the month. Every end of the month.
You let me know.
Yeah, just let us know.
I have no children. I have no life. I work at home. Let me know.
Okay, I will throw dates at.
I have a little more of a complex schedule.
We'll work with,
I get it.
Work with Nick.
Now it's all on me. Okay.
No, not all you.
Well, if it's if Friday nights,
that's cool.
Honestly, Friday nights seem to be the best option for all three of us. We can just stick with Friday nights.
That's all. The best nights.
I mean, I could meet a woman and then no, that's never going to happen. Anyway, I was going to suggest though that we maybe through email and whatever else we determine a handful of topics, 3 topics.
Yeah. Well, I have topics, but if this is why I'm trying to establish this now, so I know going forward. Because I had side notes in case we didn't for just in case as a fail safe.
Wait. You actually thought we'd have a moment where we didn't have anything to talk about?
Well, I mean, we kind of covered some of the stuff I wanted to talk about, but I'm just saying, if this is going to be a regular thing, then moving forward, we'll kind of communicate, in the meantime and see hey, well, this is what I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Yada, yada, yada.
This is your podcast, G. You decide what we're talking about.
Well, so like, okay, like I can do that. Like I can have like one common theme that we can all like have we can all put our 2 cents in. And then if there's like something you each individual want to share or discuss, like even with us as as our comrade.
Are you intimidated by us?
What are you talking about?
Wait, because you're like, you let us go off fucking rail the whole time.
I think
You'd be like, look, motherfuckers, here's my 3 topics. Stick to it. And they'll go off.
Yeah.
Like,
how often do you have more than one guest?
Yeah.
Not often.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Probably
look, look at us 2 assholes. Like, we just...
We don't shut up.
We'll shut up and go talk about fucking, fucking hentai porn, way off, off rails.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
This is This is part 3.
I might save that for my
right?
Patreon.
Do you have a Patreon?
Yeah.
Well,
God.
what? You haven't mentioned any.
Oh yeah.
Well, because I stopped. Well, we can talk about that next time. But
right,
yeah.
There you go.
So just okay, here's my 3 topics I want to talk about. Like you hit ABC.
Yeah.
And like we're like, oh yeah, we'll talk about ABC and
Right.
like we'll sprinkle in our own unique taste,
Okay.
on things and whatever.
So if that is the general consensus now, see, I want to confirm that first.
Sure.
But okay. What are we gonna call it? The bitching hour?
Oh, we're gonna
Bitch
call it
fest?
something?
I had something earlier. It's really
wait, hold on. Wait, the bitching hour, it's fucking
I know.
11:35. It's been way.
That's the comedy.
I'm past
of it.
my bedtime.
Bitching 3 hours.
Yeah. It's like the waking hours. I'm like, all right, I have to wake up in like 5 hours now.
What were the names that you were gonna call this?
Oh man, it's only one and it's really bad, and I honestly can't recall what state of mind I was in when I thought of it. So it's not much.
No, just say it.
Fartsy fellas. Dud. Because like we get artsy fartsy.
All right. Well,
we get artsy fartsy.
Yes.
I told you.
I agree, but it's
I think the bitching hour is far better. But
it's way up our alley.
It's your podcast. We're all on it. So
I know, but it's like a spin-off thing, right? Like
we're a spin-off now. Okay, well, it's cool. All right.
So we're like Mork and Mindy.
Yeah. It's like Rated G presents the bitching hour,
rated
whatever
X.
you want to call it.
Rated
X.
Rated. Oh my God, no! Please, no.
That's even worse. Rated NC.
Well, I think Rickman, you called it Bitch Fest like in the beginning.
That's what we always have.
We always call it that. It's like
Nick and I cannot be in proximity to each other
without bitching to each other about the same thing we always bitch about for the last 10 years. We always bitch about the same thing every year. The only thing that changes is the date on the calendar. That's the only thing that changes.
Location, maybe, too.
Location, yes.
We have to have a positive spin at the end. We want to inspire creativity at the end of the day, don't we?
So you can always aspire to be better than what you are, and as long as you put in the effort.
The more you know.
The more you know. Yeah.
I think you know what I'm going to say this. As we have been inspired by other artists and other people that create, other creators. If you want to be inspired by us, by all means, you can find us on our social media outlets. I am at Rickman Art on Instagram and on Twitter if you want to bitch at me. I don't do a lot of Twitter, but by all means, curse at me. And rickmanart.com is my website. So being inspired or inspiring others, by all means, go look at what I've done. If it inspires you, awesome.
Nick, how about you? We're doing plugs now.
Oh, you're doing plugs. So.
Yeah, Rickman naturally just flowed into it. Like you had a positive message, and then you went right into the plug-in, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're taking it home already.
I don't know if we're taking it home, so
It threw me off, bro. I'm sorry, he threw me off.
I'm sorry. I
No, you did it so elegantly.
Rickman is so pro. I'm like, well, I don't really, I'm on social media. I don't really interact so much with social media. The best way is Instagram, which is at Nick Mockoviak. I'm on Twitter, the same thing, but don't comment on Twitter because I don't respond to it because I don't really go on Twitter that much. I mean, Google search, you can fucking find my ass there too. Just Nick Mockoviak. I don't hide myself, what I am, but just that's what I do, what I am. Done.
Nice. Well put. I did want to throw in there. I'm gonna have my first market of the year, the first spring market in April 16th. The pop-up market at the Diamond Stadium. That's in Richmond, Virginia. So anyone out there tuning in that's like within the area, swing by. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Art of G Torado. Of course, I'm gonna have all this stuff in the show descriptions. So, damn, gentlemen, what a podcast!
And not only that, but we would have kept going.
I know.
I mean, seriously, we would have just kept going.
Yeah.
I know the two of you are really tired.
I'm not, dude.
I gotta be honest with
going.
you. I'm up till 3, so that's probably right about the point.
Wait, how much? Okay, pause, Rickman. I'm gonna close this show, but don't leave just yet. But anyone that's still tuning in at this point, thanks for sticking around with us and listening to our jibber jabber. I hope you find some valuable gems that you can relate to with whatever endeavors you're trying to pursue. All kidding aside, but have a laugh too, because that's important. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace. Yahoo!